This episode is supported by FX's Grotesquerie, a new series from executive producer Ryan Murphy. Heinous crimes unsettle a small community, and the local detective feels these atrocities are eerily personal, as if someone or something is taunting her. Starring Niecy Nash-Betts, Courtney B. Vance, Leslie Manville, and Travis Kelce, FX's Grotesquerie premieres September 25th on FX. Stream on Hulu. This episode is supported by FX's Grotesquerie, a new series from executive producer Ryan Murphy. Heinous crimes unsettle a small community, and the local detective feels these atrocities are eerily personal, as if someone or something is taunting her. Starring Niecy Nash-Betts, Courtney B. Vance, Leslie Manville, and Travis Kelce, FX's Grotesquerie, all new Wednesdays on FX. Stream on Hulu.
Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber teen account. You drive your teenager around, a lot, to their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to...
Mom? This is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
Shouldn't skipping to payday be as easy as skipping to the next song? Introducing MyPay from Chime. Get up to $500 of your pay before payday. Get paid when you save with MyPay. Start at Chime.com. Eligibility requirements apply. Credit limits range from $20 to $500. Provided by the bank or Bank N.A. and Stride Bank N.A.
No, your heart.
And welcome back to Horror Queers. We're talking What's Up Vagisil. We're talking PMS isn't real, needy. It was invented by the boy-run media to make us seem crazy. And we're talking lasagna with teeth. And I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we're talking one very special roasted chicken from the one and only Boston Market.
Which is not a thing for me, so I was just like, I'm assuming that's a popular chicken place?
It's a chain where you go.
Okay.
Their big thing is roasted chicken, but you know
Right.
they have like, you know, cafeteria style mac and cheese and mashed potatoes. Oh, and their cornbread too. But if I'm not mistaken, they're going out of business.
Oh, tragic. Well, you know what? It's because they were popular 15 fucking years ago when this movie came out.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say they were popular, but more so that if you lived in a small town, you knew what a Boston Market was.
Wow, Trace, 300 episodes in and you still can't figure out when to yes and me. You dumb bitch.
I'm sorry. Are you cueing me? But everyone, did you know this is our 300th episode? And you might be confused because you're like, well, didn't they already cover Jennifer's Body? And you're right, because yes, this is the third film ever that we covered in this podcast. And if you've been with us for the whole 6 years, or you started listening at the beginning and we're like, ew, you might notice that our format has changed a little bit. I would also argue, Joe, maybe we've matured a little bit. Well, I've matured a little bit. You've stayed the same. You've always been mature.
Yeah, that's Trace's polite way of saying old. And
no!
Yeah, we are different. I mean, I think when we did Jennifer's Body, it was a bit of a retrospective where it was an opportunity for me, at least, to reevaluate the film because I didn't love it on the first watch. Folks, you can go back and probably listen to me tell the story. But Trace, before we get into the film, I do want to just do a quick couple of announcements, just since it is the 300th episode. It's a big title, so maybe we've got some new listeners, maybe we've got some folks who are returning to the fold. So, folks, if you have never done it, we would love if you could just hit pause for a brief moment, scroll down, give us a quick rating and review. This is one of those things where we've been around for a while. Sometimes people are like, they're good, they don't need it. Podcasts always need that little bit of love. So yeah, you know, give us a quick 5-star, maybe a review. Tell Trace how much you love his research or the fact that I can't spell appreciate.
You know? Spell it? No, you can spell it. You can't
I can
pronounce
spell
it.
Can I say it? Still on the fence.
I still don't understand how you get appreciate out of appreciate. I don't. Is that a Canadian thing or is it a you thing?
It's probably a me thing.
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
it's fine.
okay.
It's fine.
Okay, yes, please, no, go. Give us those reviews. We love 5-star reviews. I have to say that.
There we go. Yeah, it is kind of important because we do, get the occasional ones. Anyway, moving on, we have also had a number of recent questions about Patreon. I think for some folks, it's still a bit of a foreign concept. So if you don't know how it works, it's a separate feed. We got a bunch of episodes that drop, 5 new ones every single month, variety of different topics and films. And if you subscribe at the $10 tier, so that's the top tier, we do have a $1 tier. We've got the 3, 5, and 8 as well. But if you go for that top tier, some people are like, it's so much money in a month. And I appreciate that. For some folks,
oh my God, you
it's
said
it
right.
But if you do go in for that top tier, you'll get 331.5 hours. That's me stealing Trace's thunder at the end of this episode. Mm-hmm. But if you do the math, that means you're getting 33 hours for every $1. So we like to think it's a bit of a good deal. And obviously, we've done a bunch of films on there that you won't hear on the main feed. So if you've seen a new film the last 5 years, it's probably over there.
Yes, and I do want to point out 2 specific things because I know some people get confused about it. So when you're paying like the monthly fee, you don't just get the episodes for that month. So as Joe said, we get that 331.5 hours. But like if you subscribe at the $5 level, you get every single $1, $3, and $5 level episode that we've ever done. So since 10's the highest, you get every 1, 3, 5, 8, and 10. So you just get everything. You don't just get the things for that month. That would be a really horrible idea if that was the case. The other thing is, you don't have to listen to these episodes in the Patreon app. If you have either Spotify or Apple Podcasts, by signing up for the Patreon, they will give you a code that you can drop into your account, and then all of our Patreon episodes, boom, pop up in either your Apple Podcasts or Spotify, whichever method you like to listen to it.
Yeah, because that Patreon app is not super user-friendly, but it's very easy to do for the other pieces, and then you just listen to it like you regularly would.
Yep, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Okay, and then the final piece is that, as I said, this is our 300th episode. It's also the start of what we're calling the Gay Icons and Anniversaries theme that will carry through until Halloween. And also, to celebrate this milestone, you may notice that we have new show art that just dropped. So we wanted to give a big shout out to Travis Falligan, aka IBTrav, for re-upping our old show art. So folks, if you want a tease of where we're going to go throughout this theme, you can see it in that picture. And hopefully you recognize that there's a bunch of Easter eggs embedded in here.
I know. I am so glad that I got Jennifer's prom dress and you got Needy's abortion of a dress.
Ouch, how dare you? I think we look great.
We do look great. Are we keeping this logo or is this just for these 2 months, Joe?
I like it enough that I think we should keep it for a little bit.
All right, everyone. Let us know. You heard it here first, but let us know what you want us to keep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we are, of course, yes, revisiting Jennifer's Body to give it a fair shake. I also want to say, we don't have plans to revisit a lot of older episodes, but if there is an older episode specifically from that first year that you would like us to revisit and maybe do our updated format with, please send us an email.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But okay, so before we get too much further into this, we do have a guest that has been waiting in the wings for maybe a bit longer than normal, so let me bring her in. Everyone, she is the co-host of The Lady Killers, a Feminine Rage podcast, and the Tender Subject podcast, which looks at the taboos of cannibalism and body horror in film. She is the editor of our sister podcasts, Halloweenies and Nightlight. You may also remember her from our redo episode on The Perfection, so it only makes sense that we bring her back for our redo on Jennifer's Body. Please welcome back Mae Shults.
Hi, this is Mae Salty Morsel Shults.
Extra salty.
I always got to do a nickname. It's just kind of my podcast tradition. Yeah.
Well, welcome back, Mae, and tell us, how much do you love Jennifer's Body?
Well, thank you for having me back, and I still can't believe that I never saw this movie until last year.
Wow!
Because now it's one of my favorite movies, and I am so fucking excited to talk about it with y'all.
Well, wait, so did you not watch it just because it just kept slipping by you, or did you not watch it because you judged it?
I did not watch it because around the time that it was coming out, as I'm sure we're going to talk about in this episode, the marketing fucked it over.
Awful.
And I didn't really judge it. I just kind of dismissed it.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to a ton of movies in the theater around that time because I was still stuck in a really terrible relationship. Don't need to get into that.
Mhm.
So I missed it in the theater. And then after that, I just never really had an opportunity to watch it. And last year, I think, because I had listened to y'all's episode on it. And last year it was on streaming and my friend and I were looking for something to watch. And I was like, I've never seen Jennifer's Body. And she literally
Lost.
cartoon mouth on the floor. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So we watched it, and of course I fell in love with it, and I've watched it a few times since then. We did an episode on it on the Lady Killers almost exactly 7 months ago, I think.
Okay.
And I think it's a masterpiece.
Joe, out of curiosity, did you go back and re-listen to our episode on this?
I did not. I definitely remembered some salient points. I remembered that I brought up my bestie Valeska's article about the kiss, and there were a couple of other things that sort of stood out, but I just remember that we kind of fell over ourselves trying to be like, why did this movie get the fucking shaft back when it was released in 2009?
Yeah, I also did not go back and listen to our old episode. Full disclosure, everyone, I actually don't know if I want to ever go back and listen to that first year of episodes. I feel like I would feel a lot of secondhand embarrassment. So obviously there will probably be some repeat opinions on this, although maybe some different ones. I don't know.
True. Yeah.
I will say though, because I didn't do as extensive a production history way back then, and so even just going to the Wikipedia for this movie, I was like, oh wow, there's a lot of stuff. And of course, I pull it from other sources, but there was so much more information about this movie available than what was even there 5 years ago when it was having its 10th anniversary reappraisal. Which
is exciting because that, to me, suggests that there is additional interest in the film. Like, I remember back 5 years ago when everybody was, I think, rediscovering it or maybe just discovering it for the first time. And it was kind of, I want to say that one of the first times in recent memory that it felt like a bunch of people really got on the boat of saying, oh, we did this movie dirty. And a bunch of people hopped on the bandwagon. And it was like, we look at this film differently now.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to say there are two different cuts of this movie. They are not super different. And if you're coming here looking for an unrated version with more blood and gore and boobs, that is not what we get in this other cut. But I will point out the major differences when we go through the plot summary. But, okay, well, let's dive in, everyone, and figure out what happened here. So most of this information is actually coming from a Variety article called Jennifer's Body Turns 10. Megan Fox, Diablo Cody, and Karan Kusama reflect on making the cult classic. So I think it's fair to say that Juno, which was written by Diablo Cody and directed by Jason Reitman, was an enormous hit and cultural milestone. Were y'all big Juno heads when it came out, by the way?
I liked it when it first came out. I thought it was funny. I would probably still enjoy it if I watched it. It's got a good soundtrack. Mm-hmm. But there's definitely some unintentionally weird messaging about reproductive rights and women's bodies. And I don't know. It's got issues.
Yeah, that was kind of how I felt about it too. I really like the dialogue, which I think is in evidence in nearly every single Diablo Cody film. But I'm with you, Mae. I was really perturbed by the idea that we don't even discuss abortion in that movie. I just found it kind of off-putting.
Well, it's interesting too, Mae, that you mentioned, focus on women's bodies, because I feel like whenever Juno was coming out, so much of the stories about Diablo Cody were, oh, she was this ex-stripper that got into film writing. And it's like that, like, okay, well, so like we're just reducing her to she's an ex-stripper as if that's something like this rags to riches story of Diablo Cody.
Well, and they also talked a lot about that, oh, she kept her baby. And I don't think it's like a straight up pro-life anti-choice movie at all, because she does try to go to a clinic and then she gets uncomfortable and decides what she decides. It's still just weird, and I think there were a lot of right-wingers and pro-lifers who got behind it as some kind of paragon of that messaging.
Interesting. I think I missed all of that. I really like Juno, but it is a movie that I think I watched it so much when it came out because I showed it to a lot of people that I I just can't watch it again because I've seen it so many times.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
But nevertheless, it was a huge hit critically and commercially. So after premiering at TIFF in September of 2007, it was slated for theatrical release in December of that same year. But before even that TIFF premiere, it was being buzzed about, and all of that buzz was very positive. And suddenly, Diablo Cody had this opportunity to do whatever she wanted. Like, literally write any movie she wanted at all. So,
right. What do you want to see out there in the zeitgeist? You've got a carte blanche.
Given the way we treat female directors and writers and just creatives in general, it's like, hey, you had a good hit, but you fuck up once. That's it for you.
Yeah.
And that's basically what happens.
Kind of, yes. But luckily, what she wanted to write was a horror movie because she loves horror and had always wanted to do something in that genre that had A, a female protagonist, and B, a female villain. And that was exactly what she wrote. Funnily enough, though, when she was either telling people that's what she was going to do, or even once she had the script done, people around her were enthusiastic about it. No one said, oh, like, do you really want to go lowbrow with that? Or, ooh, like, Juno was such a big hit, you should do another high school comedy. Or everyone was supportive around the idea of what she was doing.
Okay.
So in October of 2007, so again, this is between Juno's festival premiere and its theatrical premiere, Fox Atomic preemptively purchased the rights to Cody's script, Jennifer's Body. Peter Rice, who at the time oversaw Fox Searchlight and Fox Atomic, brought in the project as Fox Searchlight had previously distributed Juno. But Fox Atomic, I don't think they exist anymore because...
No, I was like, where's the Atomic coming from?
I think 28 Days and Weeks Later were Fox Atomic, too.
Okay.
Maybe The Hills Have Eyes, actually. Nevertheless, I think they're defunct now. But 1 month later, in November, Jason Reitman, director of Juno, and his producing partner Dan Dubiecki signed on as producers with plans to produce the film under their production banner Hard C, which was housed at Fox Searchlight. But I say was because they dissolved the banner a few months before Jennifer's Body came out, having only produced that, Juno, and the, which I feel like we should cover this show, the Amanda Seyfried, Liam Neeson, Julianne Moore erotic thriller Chloe.
Yes, you've talked about this a couple times.
But you've seen it, right?
I have not.
Oh, it's Adam McGoyan, too.
It is Adam McGoyan, yes. I know it because of that, and I know because you see Seyfried's boobs, because I feel like that's how you've mentioned it before.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like very lesbian with Amanda Seyfried and Julianne Moore. It's kind of like a Fatal Attraction thing, but like where it's like the sex worker is the Glenn Close role.
Ooh.
Okay.
And
I'm down.
It's okay. It's admittedly not a fantastic movie, but I do enjoy the movie.
Okay, that tracks for like later Adam McGoyan films. There's often interesting things, but the whole film doesn't really come together.
Very much so. But hey, if you want to see Julianne Moore and Amanda Seyfried les out, there you go.
I do want to see that.
Hey, it's a movie for you.
It really is.
Anyway, so because Diablo Cody was a big horror fan, when writing the script for Jennifer's Body, she was trying to pay tribute to some of the conventions that she had already seen in horror, yet, at the same time, turn them on their ear. So, one of her influences from the 80s was The Lost Boys, and she really wanted to honor that, and at the same time, she had never really seen that particular subgenre done with girls, so she tried to do a little bit of both. And I confess, I didn't get The Lost Boys when I watched this movie, but maybe that's just because I just don't really care about The Lost Boys that much.
How fucking dare you?
I know. You can go
Everybody jump back to episode 150 because that's when we cover it.
Yep.
I remember being very mad when I listened to that episode.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
No, I know.
Anyway, so her ultimate plan, though, was to have the film speak to female empowerment and explore the complex relationships between female best friends. And because she and Karan Kusama, who of course came on board to direct, are both very outspoken feminists, Cody said they wanted to subvert the classic horror model of women being terrorized, wanted to write roles that serviced women, wanted to tell stories from a female perspective, wanted to create good parts for actresses where they're not just accessories to men. And in fact, a key reason for writing the film was to bring to the screen a new way of expressing the intensity of female bonds, because Cody thought that the adolescent female friendships that she had experienced were unparalleled in their intensity, so she wanted to show the almost horrific, quote, aspect of such devotion and its relation to, and this is an interesting word, parasitism.
Oh. I can see it. Can definitely see it.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, she also intended for it to be a very dark, very brooding, traditional slasher film. But close to a third of the way into the process of writing it, she felt that she was incapable of doing so because, and I quote, the humor just kept sneaking in.
I was going to say, she's like, I'm just too funny. I can't help it. It keeps coming in.
Yeah. And, that's the thing, too, where it's like, well, I'm sure we'll talk about Diablo Cody's dialogue, but I remember a big critique being like, where it worked in Juno, it doesn't work in Jennifer's Body. And
I disagree.
Well, I think it's almost like Heather's, where it's because she's inventing so much of the dialogue, it actually works better now, I think, than it did in 2009.
Yeah.
I would 100% agree with that. I think that the film has actually aged increasingly better because of that fact, but also just because we have accepted that the dialogue is part of what makes the film stand out, as opposed to looking at it as, that's taking away from what she's trying to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, as for Kusama, she's also a big horror fan, and when reading the script, she thought a lot about The Howling and An American Werewolf in London and Rosemary's Baby, noting that there's even a sly, dark humor in that film. So that's the kind of tonal, like, horror, because this is a horror comedy, but and again, at the time, like, people were like, it doesn't work as either one, but I do think it toes that line very well. So, when she met up with Cody, they bonded over their love of old Giallo films and talked a lot about Carrie, which I think you'll see plenty of visual influences to Carrie, or more generally De Palma. We got lots of split diopters in this film. I will say, I guess I didn't watch the deleted scenes when we covered it last time, because there's definitely a big Carrie homage at the dance scene that is in the deleted scenes that I'd never seen before. Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of movies that people are probably mad at me for not liking enough.
Carrie?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, if you listen to our Lady Killers episode, I talk a lot about why parts of that movie really don't work for me. Other parts of it I love. There's aspects of it I love, but
it's just not the whole package for you.
Right, exactly. And
do you like any iteration, like any adaptation? Like, do you maybe prefer the Kimberly Pierce one or the Angela Bettis one? Or is it just...
No one prefers the Kimberly Pierce one. Let's be honest.
May just said she didn't like Brian De Palma's Carrie that much, so I was like, okay, well, maybe she likes the Kimberly Pierce one.
No, the De Palma one is definitely the best out of all of them. There's so much of it that doesn't work for me.
Got it. Well, with Carrie, though, it was from the score to the color of the blood and what they called a wonderful quality that older horror movies have, where they felt more grounded in a way that they thought was ultimately spookier. So they didn't have the gloss that horror films have today, and by today meaning like 2009. And with Jennifer's Body, they wanted to emulate that vintage feel.
I can't say I see that here.
I
this
agree.
Definitely looks like studio gloss. And I don't say that in a bad, disparaging way. It's just I wonder if that fell by the wayside in production.
Yeah. As for casting, apparently Megan Fox was always their number one choice for Jennifer, to the point where she had signed on to the film as early as October of 2007, which is the exact same time Fox Atomic signed on. So I would assume maybe getting her was kind of like what helped get them on board.
Yeah, it's like part of the package, contingent deals.
Yes, but she loved the script and relished at the idea to play that type of character, which, I mean, like, who wouldn't, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, look at what role she was getting to play otherwise.
Well, and that's the thing. So it's also important to note that at this time, she was just coming off of the first Transformers movie and was about to start Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. And at the time, there was kind of this cultural obsession with Megan Fox. So Cody thought that she had this mystique that worked for the character because of her public image. I'll go into more about that in a minute, because that, I think, will backfire on Cody and this film.
Right. I definitely do remember that we talked about how Megan Fox's body was perceived going into this film, because I remember having a conversation about how Michael Bay sticks the camera up her ass in those films.
Yes, and there's more to this story. Yes. There was more stuff going on publicly.
There always is. Yeah.
Oh, you mean like the Jennifer Hot steal your boyfriend internal memo?
Oh, don't worry. I've got stuff.
We've got the memos. We've got the receipts.
I've got all the drama like compiled into like one section of this production history. So really quick, though, for Needy, they saw a lot of actresses, including Emma Stone, Lizzie Kaplan, and even Amanda Bynes. But it was Amanda Seyfried's Wide-Eyed Wonder, which I'm her big eyes.
Yes.
In her audition that traveled through her whole performance and convinced Kusama that she was the one. And Cypher was more than happy to take the role of Needy because she didn't want to be the character every guy wanted to fuck. So she was happy not to stress about the way she looked. You know, she didn't, like, she could look quote unquote ugly, which... And look,
Glasses and ponytail.
I watched the commentary today that has both Kusama and Cody on it, and they were both like, I mean, come on, like, this is like Hollywood ugly. Like, Amanda Seyfried is clearly a gorgeous person.
So fucking gorgeous.
But also, like, she wasn't like, she was a name, but like, you know, she'd done Mean Girls. She was on Big Love at this point, or maybe she was just coming off of Big Love by this point. But like, she wasn't a movie star yet, you know?
Right. Yeah, she was on her way up.
So the plan was to start shooting in late 2007 before a possible writer's strike could start. But for anyone who was watching TV at that time, we all know that the strike happened in late 2007, starting in November of that year. So shooting was bumped to March of 2008 when the strike ended in February 12th.
All right. Rest in peace, heroes. You were undone by that strike.
Oh my God. Pushing Daisies. Samantha Who got really fucked by that. Samantha Who, by the way.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Oh, it destroyed all of the momentum Heroes had.
But if a show had its first season in like 06, 07, and it had its second season during the strike, good luck getting
Canceled.
a renewal. Yeah. I'm telling y'all. But okay, so during this strike in January of 2008, so the strike is still going on. This is when Kusama came on board to direct, but trouble started with the film kind of immediately because a copy of the script leaked online, and
there we go.
Okay, so here's the thing. So website cc2k.com. Never heard of them.
Is it still active? Somebody seek it out.
Well, they posted a very critical review of the screenplay. Well, whereas meanwhile, another website called Latino Review posted a much more positive review of the screenplay. So for comparison, Latino Review ultimately gave it a passing grade of a B-C+, and went out of its way to credit Diablo Cody's humor, language, and one-liners for saving the script from being an oddly paced, slightly incoherent horror comedy that's trying too hard to be some genre-smashing cult hit like Donnie Darko, which...
Ooh.
Okay, that seems pretty scathing to me, but whatever. The bad one, the CC2K review, was basically it was titled "What the fuck is she saying?" A look at the dialogue in Diablo Cody's latest screenplay, and basically this review did a 4-point plan detailing the bungles, quote unquote, that Cody made in her script before isolating some of the choice phrases that they deemed as being particularly what the fuck, such as "slow down tardy slip, you sound like a sped," "never Trevor, I'm hot like magma," which I believe was cut from the film. And in what has become an internet-wide favorite, "fried bologna is the bomb," which I think was also cut in the film. But
right. Also, by the way, I mean, reading a script is completely different from watching it being delivered by actual actors on the screen, and also isolating pieces of dialogue without proper context. It's like the equivalent of just seeing a line from a movie when somebody does like a TikTok or an X post, and you're just like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. It's like, yeah, because it's part of a 2-hour movie. Obviously, it's not going to work.
And here's the thing, though. So the studio sent a cease and desist to CC2K, the one that posted the more negative review.
Oh.
And so there was drama because basically what happened was CC2K took it down, said then we got a cease and desist. The Latino Review one didn't go down, at least for a couple weeks. And so basically, there's no information as to when they sent Latino Review a cease and desist. For all we know, it could have been the same time they sent the other one, and it just took Latino Review longer to take it down. But they took it down after it was noted that CC2K got the cease and desist and had removed their review when Latino Review did not. So
it looked like they were trying to curry positive reception.
Yes. So that is drama number 1.
Oh, God. Okay.
Filming starts on March 7th, 2008, and took place in Burnaby, British Columbia, and lasts until May 5th of 2008.
Okay. Yeah. Beautiful British Columbia, everybody. Looks great on screen.
And things mostly went all right, but a big concern was the paparazzi, who kept trying to sneak on set to snag pictures of Megan Fox whenever they could. And
people are so fucking weird about celebrities.
I can't even imagine having that job. Like, I mean, look, I get it because it's your job to take pictures, but it's also like to sneak onto film sets. Like, what?
Yeah, I don't know if y'all listen to Chapel Roan, but she posted a thing recently about how fucking weird people are being to her and her friends and family. And it's just like, Just let her exist.
Well,
Stop being weird.
And like, I saw this too. Josh Hartnett, when Trapp was doing the press rounds, like he was like, "Oh yeah, I took a break because I just couldn't handle the fame. Like people would just show up at my house, and it's like, ugh.
Oh God.
What is wrong with people?
Well,
It's because they feel like they know these people or that they are entitled to know these people because they're stars. And it's like, well, they signed up for this. They wanted to be movie stars. And as a result, I get to camp out behind their house in a tree and take pictures of them with a giant binocular.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry, you can't take pictures with a binocular. With a giant telescopic lens. There we go. Nailed it in 2.
Well, nevertheless, this whole paparazzi issue was most true during the scene where Jennifer Megan Fox swims in the lake nude. And of course, this was used in all the trailers. But a photographer did sneak in and get a picture of Megan Fox. And basically, and I pulled all this from an interview with Fox from that Variety article. But Fox's agent had to call her to be like, so listen, there was a photographer. And, and she's nude in the shop. And she's like, you don't see it in the film. And so at this point, Fox broke down because she felt so overexposed and so hunted by the media. Important to note, she's about 22, 23 at this point. But she felt bullied by just the world in general. And so in her words, and I quote, "The last thing I had that was mine, the last bit of privacy that I had was my body, and I didn't want to show it. I felt so violated, even though I was wearing nude underwear and I had little nipple covers on. It was so much more than I ever wanted to give the world. I wanted to keep that for myself, and it was taken from me. And so I was really devastated. I broke down. I cried."
Ugh. I mean, it kind of contextualizes how people feel, not just about showing their bodies on screen, but like, you know, the number of times where I think we're probably all a little bit guilty of it when we're like, well, why don't actors just get naked on screen? Like, it's better for the role. Don't be so shy about it. But even just realizing, oh, I did this scene, which calls for my character to be naked, but I was wearing nude underwear, and someone still fucking creeps on so that they can take pervy shots to sell for money. It's like, yeah, you have nothing for yourself, and that would be really difficult to process.
Well, especially at that age. I was a fucking mess when I was 22 and 23.
Yeah.
And I cannot even imagine what that would have done to my psyche.
Mm-hmm.
And people are so fucking gross about other people's bodies, and it's just never made sense to me.
And you know what? And I'm sure if she ever put that quote out at the time, a bunch of people would have been like, well, why? You're dressing all sexy and all these things. Like it's this equivalent of like, you were asking for it, you know?
Exactly. And it's like, no, it's a fucking closed film set. Yeah. And they're doing this in a very particular way so that she's not actually going to be seen naked on film. You have absolutely no right to other people's bodies in that way.
Yeah. So, okay. Brief break before we go back into some more drama. Special effects in the film were handled by K&B Effects and Moving Picture Company, and I'm going to assume the latter was handling the CGI because I don't think K&B... I'll be upfront, I don't think the CGI in this movie, when it is employed, looks very good, but I think it's also because when they do practical, it looks really good, and it makes the CGI look a lot worse, but when it's there, because it's also like just not great 2009 CGI.
Yeah, we just covered The Faculty on Lady Killers, and I went on a little rant about how good the practical effects look, which I believe is also K&B, and how poorly a lot of that CGI has aged, and how when you show the same thing practically and then with CGI, you can't do that.
Yeah, because the eye can always pick it out, like, unless it is exquisite CGI, but even that, I would argue, over time, like, we're talking about a movie that's 15 years old, and hopefully our CGI has gotten a little bit better. I would argue not always when you see some of the stuff coming out now, but
I think it depends.
It's just one of those things where the CGI is probably always going to age badly, but we're still praising 80s movies for their fantastic practical effects because those don't age badly.
I always say I'd rather be able to see a string hanging something than the best CGI.
I will forgive a visible string over
Sure.
that any day of the week.
Yeah.
Now, Kusama had made the conscious decision to favor practical effects over CGI, saying it was a choice that we all sort of made organically because everyone's appreciated that those kind of effects in older movies and often questioned how much more effective it would be to use a ton of CGI. So during filming, they always started with a practical effect and then moved forward from there to lay groundwork of something that's actually physically, materially there. Now, I think the CGI that looks the worst is going to be the needle black vomit, and some of her jaw stuff doesn't look great, except when you can tell it's just Megan Fox wearing a denture piece.
Yeah, I think the teeth are worse. I was feeling kind of generous to the black goo stuff this time around.
The whole thing about the black goo is because it's an otherworldly, demonic thing.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it looking a little uncanny. It kind of reminds me of the soy sauce from John Dies at the End and how they did that.
Yeah.
And so my brain associates those two things. And I also just, it doesn't bother me because it's not actual human puke.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Now, here's the other big drama. So this happens about a week before the film premieres at TIFF and then opens like the week later. So I remember this happening. I just didn't remember that it happened here. But important to note that when this movie came out, Megan Fox was essentially persona non grata because on September 2nd, 2009, now this is after Transformers Revenge of the Fallen had come out in June of this same year, she did an interview with Wonderland magazine where she said, and this is the full quote, "Michael Bay wants to create this insane, infamous madman reputation. He wants to be like Hitler on his sets, and he is. So he's a nightmare to work for, but when you get him away from set and he's not in director mode, I kind of really enjoy his personality because he's so awkward, so hopelessly awkward. He has no social skills at all. It's endearing to watch him. He's so vulnerable and fragile in real life, and then on set, he's a tyrant." Okay.
Oh, there's so many different ways you can cut that to make her sound like a huge bitch, isn't there?
So, okay. I remember the interview, and so it turned audiences against her, right? And I believe there was even a thing with Steven Spielberg where he came on because he was producing the Transformers movies, and,
he sided with Bay.
Yes, because oddly enough, it was the Hitler thing that they really honed in on. But apparently, this was given as the reason, why she was fired from the Transformers films. But then, I found an interview with Spielberg 10 years later where they asked him about it, and he goes, "No, that's not what happened." But he doesn't elaborate any further about what did happen. And I'm like, okay, well.
Okay, Uncle Steve. Well, you're just holding up the same old narrative then, I guess.
But y'all, it gets worse. So, according to two sources from the Revenge of the Fallen set, Bay enlisted the crew of that film to publish an open letter defending the director while smearing Fox, referring to her as, among other things, Miss Sourpants, porn star, unfriendly bitch, and dumb as a rock.
Okay.
But don't worry, I've got a quote from the actual letter, which reads, "When facing the press, Megan is the queen of talking trailer trash and posing like a porn star. And yes, we've had the unbearable time of watching her try to act on set. And yes, it's very cringeable. So maybe being a porn star in the future might be a good career option."
Oh, come on.
Wow.
There's nothing wrong with being a porn star. I recognize in 2009 we were not in that position of actually admiring sex workers for their initiative and all this other stuff. But it's just can you imagine taking that letter around, getting people to sign it, and then just willfully sending that out to the public?
Oh,
wow.
Wait, let me continue.
Oh, please do.
But makeup beware, she has a paragraph tattooed on her backside, probably due to her rotten childhood in a parenthetical. Easily another 45 minutes in the chair. And they continue. So this is the Megan Fox you don't get to see. Maybe she will learn, but we figure if she can sling insults, then she can take them too. Megan really is a thankless, classless, graceless, and shall we say unfriendly bitch. It's sad how fame can twist people, and even sadder that young girls look up to her. If only they knew who they were really looking up to. And this letter was signed the loyal Transformers crew and was hosted by Bay's official website, picked up by every industry trade publication, and cast a pall over Fox's career. And shortly thereafter, she was fired from the Transformers franchise and replaced by the model Rosie Huntington-Whiteley for the third film, whom Bay had previously directed in a Victoria's Secret ad campaign.
That's one of the most disgusting and misogynistic things I've ever heard in my life.
And here's the thing, like, was it maybe not the best thing for her to say? Like, okay, yeah, she's she's green though. She's done like a film and a half by this point, and she clearly wasn't trained yet in publicity. But it's like, I don't know, man. Like,
it's a smear campaign. It's a full-on smear campaign.
She was crucified, and it was all the week or two before Jennifer's Body came out.
Well, okay, so does this remind you at all of how Katherine Heigl was treated as well? Like, this is what we did to women, and I would argue we still continue to do, but we do it in craftier ways. But it's very much like, don't bite the hand that feeds you because you're just an ungracious, bitch. And yeah, like, we will absolutely throw you to the wolves because women are completely disposable.
And I will say, just to not to go into the Katherine Heigl thing, but y'all, you can find more recent interviews with Heigl where she does address some of that stuff. And I find, look, she said some maybe not great things, but I do find her very endearing and kind of respect her for just holding to her ground.
Well, because we don't value those qualities in particularly women, right?
Well, we value them in men.
Yeah, which I just find the double-edged sword so ridiculous. Like, men are just, saying what they're thinking, whereas women are like, well, I guess she doesn't want to work anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, rant over. Sorry, continue on.
It's okay. No, I just honestly, I didn't know about the letter, so I was like, well, I'm definitely including that in this.
Yeah. The other thing it reminds me of, actually, sorry, one final piece, is it reminds me of the Paris Hilton House of Wax.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's no surprise that all this is around the same time, like this late 2000s, maybe early 2010s, but still. Mm-hmm. Anyway, as for its release, Jennifer's Body premiered at TIFF on September 10th, 2009, almost exactly 2 years after Juno premiered there. And then it opened theatrically a week later on September 18th, which, hey, 15th anniversary!
Woo woo! Trace and I were in attendance, not together, but we both went to see it opening weekend.
Definitely saw it opening weekend. But interestingly enough, though, because I feel like there is this kind of story about how this film was panned upon its release and it was a massive flop. It wasn't quite as panned as much as you would think. So we're looking at a 46% on Rotten Tomatoes with an average score of 5.2 out of 10. And I did go check, Joe, because I still had the email I sent you with my cheat sheet for the first time.
Oh, okay.
5 years ago, the Rotten Tomato score was a 44% with a 5.1 out of 10 average. So it bumped up 2% and a 0.1 in the 5 years.
Interesting. But I feel like you're going to tell us something different about Letterboxd.
Well, so we weren't checking Letterboxd back then, so I actually don't.
Damn it.
I don't know. But right now, Letterboxd users have awarded it a 6.8 out of 10.
Okay.
Now, with the reviews, though, I'm gonna read a couple blurbs. So, female reviews were, shockingly, a bit different, but not exclusively. There still were female detractors of this movie, but
sure.
These are all female reviews. So, Time Magazine called it entertaining and reasoned there is a lot of intelligent camp here and some sharply observed characterizations. Slate praised the film for being a wicked black comedy with unexpected emotional resonance, one of the most purely pleasurable movies of the year so far.
Oh.
Elle magazine said the film not only puts a fresh spin on female-centric pop genres, but also owns them outright and is rich with first-rate performances. And then finally, the Miami Herald applauded the film for being fearless when delving into the subject of teen sex and for reversing the notion that only bad girls have sex when they're 16 and the good ones never slide past first base.
Okay, yeah.
So, the reviews from men.
Oh boy.
In a positive 3 out of 4 star review, Roger Ebert called it Twilight for boys.
No. That is just factually incorrect.
Did he watch the fucking movie?
So that's the thing. I bring this up because, okay, he gave it a good review, but I'm also like, that is such a reductive statement. And there actually were a lot of comparisons to Twilight in some negative reviews for this film. And I'm so confused because a lot of the reasoning was, it's because it's a female story told from a female POV, and I guess the most recent one of those stories we had was Twilight.
See, but I would also take that further, having just recently covered a Twilight film on my YA podcast. Like, the way that people handled that, it was very dismissive and it was talking down because it's not only a teen film, it's a teen film about girls. But I would argue the way that was often captured specifically with Twilight was the performances are bad. So I actually think that that's a condemnation where people aren't coming out and saying it, but I think they're saying that Fox and Seyfried are bad.
Well, Okay, some other male reviews. Time Out New York said, the movie has a centerfold sheen to it and some lesbianic softcore flirtation to match, as its plot dives deeply into Twilight-esque heavy mellow meltdown in the last act.
Not accurate.
The New York Daily News said, Fox merely needs to look either vacant or evil, which the Transformers boy toy does spookily well, but words and story are still the lifeblood of a movie, and Jennifer's body is filled like a Twinkie with half-fleshed-out ideas. Chicago Tribune called Fox a pretty bad actress who doesn't seem to get Cody's sense of humor at all. They reasoned that the movie's partially redeemed by Seyfried, who makes her character more than a repository for audience sympathy, and her makeout scene with Fox is handled with more suspense and care than anything else in the movie. Baltimore Sun, the only perfect aspect of Jennifer's Body as being its title, saying no one is going to like this movie for its brain. And finally, the Boston Globe said the film wants to be like Heathers, but the only scene in the film that actually feels dangerous is when the possessed Jennifer initiates a long and passionate kiss with Needy, which the film very, very nervously backs away from, going on to say that Jennifer's Body falls into the dispiriting category of dumb movies made by smart people. In this case, a glibly clever writer and a talented director who think a few wisecracks are enough to subvert the teen horror genre.
That is so weird, because I actually found the comparisons to Heather very apt this time around. Like, I do think it has that sort of biting, cynical tone, but yeah, man, the rest of that was just garbage.
Again, all men. So... Of course, now the film is hailed as a feminist masterpiece by many, and a lot of this was spurred by the start of the Me Too movement, in 2017, 2018, and that's when a lot of these reappraisals started happening. But before we get there, we have to go through the box office snafu of this film. So, this opened up against 3 other new releases, in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, The Informant, and some Jennifer Aniston, Aaron Eckhart rom-com called Love Happens that I've never heard of, which...
It's bad.
Well,
oh no.
The title Love Happens, like what the fuck?
So generic.
All of those movies beat Jennifer's Body at the box office that weekend. It opened in the number 5 spot with $6.7 million and would go on to gross $16.2 million domestically and $15.4 million internationally for a worldwide total of $31.6 million against a production budget of $16 million. So it wasn't a flop.
Yeah.
But when you factor in marketing costs and stuff, it was still viewed as a disappointment. Because again, everyone, general rule of thumb, not exclusive, but like you want to triple your budget worldwide to kind of break even. But for years after its release, box office analysts tried to figure out just what happened here. And the first culprit was the fact that it was a horror comedy, which analyst Jeff Bach of Exhibitor Relations said is the toughest sell in Hollywood, citing and he cited the box office underperformances of films like Tremors, which made $16 million, Slither, which made $7 million, Shaun of the Dead, which made $13 million. This is all domestic, by the I
always thought that was so much better, but I know that Shaun of the Dead performed well in the UK, but that wasn't enough to save it.
Yeah, so domestically it underperformed. And then Eight-Legged Freaks, $17 million, or even going back to the 90s again, Army of Darkness made $11 million. So, but funnily and this whole horror comedy doesn't make money thing will be proven wrong just a month later when Zombieland comes out.
Right.
And Zombieland makes $75 million domestically. But also, I would argue that's a movie too where it has its foot planted firmly more in comedy than it does horror.
It does, and I think it's a more conventional 4-quadrant kind of film, like maybe not 4, maybe 3, but it's also very much pitched at men. You've got Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg as the leads, and I would argue that like Emma Roberts and Abigail Breslin are overshadowed in both the marketing and the way their characters are treated in that film.
Both of those movies, because there was a sequel.
I was going to say, we've got a Patreon episode on the sequel.
But also the R rating for Jennifer's Body was deemed as limiting to the teen girls who the filmmakers wanted to go see it. But this brings us to that target audience issue because, as I said, the filmmakers wanted to target teenage girls. That is not who the studio wanted to target.
No.
In the intervening years, Cody herself has said that she's not surprised that Jennifer's body flopped, her words, even saying that she predicted it would flop months in advance because the movie was extensively focus grouped, which she says is hell. But in those focus groups, people hated it. And she still has one of the cards that she says she'll keep forever, but it was a screening that was screened for a group of young men. And the question was, what would you improve about this movie? And the card reads,
everything.
Needs more boobs. And more is spelled M-O-A-R, and boobs is spelled B-E-W-B-S.
Oh my fucking God. This is who we're catering to, apparently.
And so that is what they were up against. And, and Cody and Kusama agree that the movie was marketed all wrong, but they don't want to just limit it on third-party things. They want to take responsibility for it. But Cody says this is the one time she's really gotten into a fight because she was so furious. And the studio said, we want to market this movie to boys who like Megan Fox. That's who's going to see it. And Cody said, no, this movie is for girls too. That audience, they did not attempt to reach in any shape, way, or form. So, yeah, this is all, again, with all of this, and again, that Megan Fox tabloid stuff, I just think audiences didn't like her, and then, the target audience they wanted was mad because they wanted more boobies. And still, though, it did manage to attract the sizable female audience that Cody wanted. 51% of the audience was female, with 70% of the patrons under the age of 25.
Right. It's just, it wasn't a big enough audience to garner a sizable profit.
100%. So, yeah, it's luckily it's got that cult following, and it was hailed as a feminist masterpiece. So before I turn it over to you, Joe, I will end with this final quote from Kusama within that Variety interview. She says, I guess over the years, people finally connected to it, and I'm so happy that they did. Of course, it was heartbreaking to see the movie be perceived as a failure when I was so proud of it, and I think Diablo was so proud of it, and Megan and Amanda and Adam and Johnny, we were all so happy with it. To have it kind of be slammed, of course that's painful, but I think when I look at a lot of the movies I love, they weren't considered successes, and that's okay. It's really awesome to know that people are rediscovering the film or discovering it for the first time. I'm gonna sound awfully old, but it seriously warms my heart.
Yeah. It's funny, Mae, I'm curious, did you end up seeing Lisa Frankenstein?
Yeah, I saw it opening weekend.
Okay, because I know that Trace and I, when we covered that on Patreon, we had a near identical conversation about the one that we just had for Jennifer's Body, where we're like, oh, this feels like history just repeating itself. I will confess, I think I prefer Jennifer's Body because it is that more traditional R rating. I think it appeals more to older people, whereas I think Lisa Frankenstein is more accurately aimed at young teenage girls. But I will be very curious to know if we will have this conversation again in 5 to 10 years about Lisa Frankenstein.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Lisa Frankenstein. I do see the same pacing editing issue that most people see in it. And I think the PG-13 rating of that kind of helps
it. Hurts
it. I think it helps it. I think the silhouette of the severed penis flying through the air is so much funnier than it would be if we saw an actual prosthetic.
Right, which we know that they did shoot.
Right, and I know y'all talked on the episode about maybe we'll get an R-rated cut on the Blu-ray or whatever, and I can't remember if the Blu-ray came out and we found out if that's happening or not, but I don't know. I think it works for that movie, just like I think the R rating works for Jennifer's Body.
Yeah, I really like the R rating here. I said a version of this on that Lisa Frankenstein episode on our Patreon feed, but it's my issue with Lisa Frankenstein is the direction of it. It's good for Zelda Williams. I'm glad she got a film, but she's just she's not Karen Kusama.
Yeah. She doesn't have the action portion of it. I think the sort of dialogue and the relationship stuff is pretty good. But I mean, especially when you watch Jennifer's Body, the action still works really, really well.
Mm-hmm. This episode is supported by FX's Grotesquerie, a new series from executive producer Ryan Murphy. Heinous crimes unsettle a small community, and the local detective feels these atrocities are eerily personal, as if someone or something is taunting her. Starring Niecy Nash-Betts, Courtney B. Vance, Leslie Manville, and Travis Kelce, FX's Grotesquerie premieres September 25th on FX. Stream on Hulu. This episode is supported by FX's Grotesquerie, a new series from executive producer Ryan Murphy. Heinous crimes unsettle a small community, and the local detective feels these atrocities are eerily personal, as if someone, or something, is taunting her. Starring Niecy Nash Betts, Courtney B. Vance, Leslie Manville, and Travis Kelce, FX's Grotesquerie, all new Wednesdays on FX. Stream on Hulu.
Introducing My Pay from Chime, a revolutionary new way to get paid. Let's say new dates to your favorite band's sold-out tour drop Tuesday, but you get paid Friday. Life doesn't wait for payday. With My Pay from Chime, you can get up to $500 of your pay before payday. No interest, no credit check, no mandatory fees. My Pay. Get paid when you say. Start at Chime.com. Eligibility requirements apply. Credit limits range from $20 to $500. $2 fee to get funds instantly. Provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. and Stride Bank N.A.
What's up, guys? It's the champ, Sean O'Malley, here to talk to you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to win real money while watching football. Run your game on Prize Picks.
Prize Picks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code SPOTIFY. That's code SPOTIFY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Okay, well, let's walk through it, shall we? Yeah. So we begin. This is interesting because I definitely forget that we're doing flashback within a flashback in this movie, and we're starting in media res, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if we need this.
I forget every time, and I also noticed for the first time ever this time that Jennifer has a horse in her backyard.
What?
Yeah, there's just a horse hanging out in her backyard.
Wild. I love it.
Well, I will say, depending on which version you're watching, the film opens differently. So the theatrical cut opens with the tracking shot up to Jennifer's window at her house, whereas the unrated cut, we open with Needy in the asylum.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not in the theatrical cut. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So there are three big changes in the unrated cut, and this is one of them. And again, it's not even new footage. It's more so they just rearranged the opening a bit.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Okay, I can't remember which one I talked about that first time, but yeah, I'm talking about the unrated cut, folks.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, we open with this voiceover narration as we are introduced to disembodied shots of Needy Lesnicki, played by Amanda Seyfried, and she's getting dressed in an asylum. We see that she is absolutely covered in scars, so she has clearly been through some shit.
Is it an asylum or is it a prison? Because I interpreted it as a prison.
Well, I guess, yeah, maybe she was arrested for murder.
I guess I assumed that she would have talked a big story about what became of Jennifer, and
she was insane.
Yeah. I don't know, but that was just my default. You could very well be right, Mae.
Well, the Wikipedia says a violent mental inmate. So that could,
That doesn't help. That could go either way.
That doesn't, I don't know. But nevertheless, she is incarcerated.
She's locked in. Yeah. So she describes herself as a kicker, and she demonstrates this by kicking a doctor who encourages her to eat more. So we see that she's got some physical strength here. She's also maybe got a bit of a rage problem. She's a teenage girl, so...
Well, hell is a teenage girl, so...
Truly. This does land her in solitary, though, and then, she tells us her story. So we flash back to Devil's Kettle. This is the town named after its unusual waterfall that drains into destinations unknown. It's a bit of a black hole. I love this little quirk. It's funny that it pays off. I kind of forgot that it does, but also it's such a slight payoff. Like, it ultimately doesn't really change much of the narrative, but it feels like a true Diablo Cody. Like, yeah, you know what? This is going to give it some extra character.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that in this movie, though, especially with the characters itself. But I love all the stuff with the town.
Yeah. It has a lived-in quality, even though we barely spend any time outside of people's houses or school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we get this roaming POV shot as we circle the house, and we see a very sickly-looking Jennifer Check, who is played by Megan Fox. She is watching infomercials. She is sucking on her hair. It's gross.
Blah. Her teeth are stained.
Yeah. She's looking under the weather.
I just thinking about sucking on hair. I just watched Raw because we're recording on Lady Killers, and now I'm like, blah, blah.
I always think there's a Nip Tuck episode where the daughter,
yeah.
But it's just because she's been chewing on her hair, so she's like a hairball in her stomach that's like causing her.
Mm-hmm. When it's such an interesting nervous tick, I feel like this is something we almost exclusively see with women, and whenever you see it, you're kind of like, oh, she's going through something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think a big part of that is because young women are the ones who typically have longer hair.
I'd be interested to know if that changes in the future, or maybe even in the last couple of years when we as a society have maybe started to break down some of those gender norms, and we're seeing increasingly boys with longer hair, girls with shorter hair. Like, I'd love to say that people are a bit more open to it, but, we do see different depictions of what is quote unquote normal gender in contemporary films.
Yeah.
Wow. Give me boys with long hair and girls with no hair. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so we do see a black-clad Needy staring at Jennifer through the bedroom window, and then this is when we get another flashback to 2 months earlier, and we see Jennifer in her cheerleading captain uniform. We see Needy as her geeky admirer watching from the stands. This was all over the trailer. This was very much, okay, we are gently being cued that there is something special between these two girls.
She's so lesbi-gay.
So lesbi-gay.
These repeat, I think we say it twice in the film, but the sandbox love never dies. And
yeah.
Yes.
It's a thing where I think every time I watch this movie, I want to like Jennifer so much, but it's like she's also not a really good person.
She's terrible. She's a terrible person. And yet, so much of how we perceive her, or why we want to like her, is because we see Needy loving her.
Yes.
Yeah, we're absolutely watching this from Needy's perspective, and not just because of the narration, but the way everything is framed is as if through her eyes. And I've been the Needy in a lot of both platonic and romantic relationships to a Jennifer, and varying degrees of Jennifer, but it sucks. It really sucks. Sometimes you just want to be taken care of, and you just want the person you love more than anyone in the world to be nice to you just because they love you.
But at the same time, we don't get a ton of characterization of of Jennifer, like from a dialogue standpoint. But I think there are moments, and I actually will credit Megan Fox for this. Whenever Jennifer is vulnerable, like I don't know, she does this really good way of like you can tell she has a shield up, but that is the thing. Like you can tell it's a shield, and the moments where the brief, fleeting moments where she is genuinely vulnerable, I latch onto in those moments.
Yeah, and I will say that this opening sort of slow motion dialogue-free moment is so effective at helping us to invest in the relationship between the two. Like, Megan Fox is also kind of adorable in moments when she's not being like super bitchy and mean to everybody. Like when she waves at Needy, it is so fucking endearing. And you're like, yeah, I can totally buy that these two are besties, even though the minute that they start talking, it doesn't really seem like they have that much in common.
Yeah.
Case in point, Jennifer is essentially blackmailing Needy into ditching her boyfriend, Chip Dove, who is played by Johnny Simmons, because Jennifer wants to go to see a indie band who is in town. This would be Low Shoulder, and they are playing
They're so salty.
They're so salty, especially that lead singer. And they're playing at the shitty local club, in quotation marks, Melody Lane, because of course this place is like adjacent to the bowling alley and it's barely a bar. It's definitely not a club in any measure. And I feel like anybody from a small town immediately recognizes Melody Lane.
Which, fun fact, apparently Melody Lane was the name of Diablo Cody's grandfather's ice cream shop that he owned and ran in the 50s.
Oh, cute.
That's kind of adorable.
She's like, I turned it into a shitty bar that I then burned down in my script. So as she prepares a Jennifer-approved look, this is such a teen movie staple where it's like, you cannot wear that because other teen girl will either make fun of you, will call you out, will say, that is my look, step off, bitch, and so on. Like, this feels like Diablo Cody knows her teen movie shit to me. But we do see Chip admonishing Needy's wardrobe, and I think I said it 5 years ago. I'm going to say it again. I think Chip is a piece of shit.
I love Chip so
I knew you were going to say that because
Wait.
I think you said that 5 years ago, too.
Oh,
Joe, I'm very curious. What makes you feel that way?
So here's the thing. I'm going to put him in the pantheons of, like, this guy could be good, and he's played by an incredibly endearing actor. Like, I think Simmons is playing this character with a lot of heart, but then he keeps getting these moments. Like, our introduction to this character is literally him critiquing Needy's body. Like, he's basically slut-shaming her for the way that she dresses. So he's saying things like, I can see your womb, I can see your front butt, and it's just like, that's not something you need to say to someone. And I get it. It's part of the dialogue of this whole film. Like, everybody is truly a little bit mean to everybody else. But I'm just like, our character introduction to the nice boyfriend is him dressing his girlfriend down.
That's interesting. I will say, because I literally just watched this commentary, but both Kusama and Cody like love the character of Chip.
Sure.
But and not to discredit, of course, your opinion, Joe. I guess I get it. But it's not like he's telling her like you cannot go out like that. So it's like it's not as bad for me.
I always interpreted it as like he's bummed that he can't go out with her tonight. And he thinks she looks cute and sexy, and he wishes that he was going to get to enjoy that.
Right.
So it comes off less slut-shamey and more like boy
He's just lime
who's
Jell-O.
sweet and also doesn't know how to communicate his feelings effectively.
Because he does call her soy sauce immediately after this when she explains what salty means.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
most of their interactions are very sweet. He seems very thoughtful. He's not into pressuring her into having sex. It's very clear that she wants to have sex with him.
Okay. I mean, I do think that Needy is more sexually active than we would normally see this kind of character being. Like, their interaction later where he's like, yeah, I went to, I think he says he went to
Walmart. He says, I went to Super Target and picked up some more condoms.
There we go. Yeah. So I like that acknowledgement that this isn't even their first time having sex, but I still just every interaction with him feels like this is the sort of shitty-ish boyfriend that you date in high school before you realize that you can do better because you believe in yourself when you get to college.
I mean, sure. Like, yeah, I don't ever believe a high school relationship's going to work out. But I guess I feel like you have to like Chip for his death to mean, like, to have any kind of impact at the end of the film. So I mean, that's for me, though. But I guess, I don't know, like, how do you feel? Well, maybe we can talk about it when he dies, actually. But I don't know. I feel like you have to be endeared to this character for what I'm presuming to be the intended effect of his death to work.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I think he's a character that definitely works, and he's the best of a bunch of not great dudes in this movie. Like, this movie doesn't have a lot of time or appreciation for men in general, but I don't know, there's a bunch of interactions between him and Needy that rub me the wrong way. We will unpack it as we go.
No, because I want to unpack also the depiction of men in this film, because with the exception of Low Shoulder, I actually think a lot of the men in here are portrayed. I mean, they're slight because they're not the focus of the film, but I actually don't dislike a lot of the men in this film.
I think that they're 100% very much slight. My criticism of them is that they are very teen boys. So, like, the minute that they are presented with an opportunity to sleep with a woman, they will immediately do so, discounting any kind of appreciation they may have felt for somebody else. Like, the movie suggests that Colin, the Kyle Gallner character, has something, or at least a cursory interest in Needy, but then he asks Jennifer out and effectively goes with the intent to fuck her the very first date. And then we see the same with Jonas, who is the best friend that she takes into the woods.
So, to be fair about Colin, he says that they've been having a lot of fun in English class. So I think they had already developed a rapport, and he was genuinely enjoying spending time with her. He was not trying to just immediately get in her pants.
Well, she's a boyfriend.
Most people. Oh, I'm talking about how he treats Jennifer.
Oh, sorry, I got you.
I think Colin and Needy are just friends, and that's it. I never get any kind of flirtation between them other than them being genuine friends.
Well, I get it like in every interaction. And maybe it's just like Seifert and Gulner have good chemistry, but yeah, I definitely read like romantic feelings because that's why Chip believes that there could have been something when Jennifer effectively propositions him in the park. He has to believe that something was happening there.
Oh, I guess because like I mean, like we all knew a Colin character in high school, right? Like we like we knew that.
Wait, I'm sorry, are you kidding me? I was
exactly. I don't know. And it isn't just because I like Kyle Gallner, but I don't know. I really like the Colin character, and I think there's a moment when he's driving to the house to meet Jennifer, and he's just singing alone, just singing very poorly in his car. I don't know. It just really endeared me to this character. So I mean, I get it. Yes, they are very much teenage boys who are thinking with their dicks as soon as like a vagina enters their line of sight. But, but I don't. It doesn't like turn me off of the character. It doesn't make me like them less.
Trace, you're misconstruing what I'm saying. I'm not suggesting that I'm not enjoying the performance or that I don't even like the characters. It's just that I think that they are quite a bit more flawed. Like I think that they are all presented as far less than the women in this film.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Let's move on. So one of the interesting things that I feel like I never picked up on the first couple of watches of this film is this sort of sixth sense relationship that Needy and Jennifer have. So Needy can sense when Jennifer is arriving. She has a sense of her moods, her feelings, and this will become intensified after Jennifer effectively becomes a succubus. But we get this early warning of it. Like Needy knows exactly when Jennifer has arrived before she even enters her house.
I always interpreted that as their blood bond because they become blood sisters on the playground in the sandbox when we see that flashback. And so I always interpreted that as like they developed a psychic bond after sharing blood. And we know that blood is very important in the world of Jennifer's body. So it already has some kind of magical properties.
Yeah, I actually really like that because I feel like maybe we address this. I'm not going to pretend to like I know what we talked about 5 years ago, but nevertheless, I never thought about that as like the start of the psychic connection, I guess.
Yeah, I think I always interpreted that as a narrative device to identify the kind of relationship, like the strength of a female friendship. Because so much of this film is about how like girls just have a different kind of bond. So that feels like a very logical extension to me, May. Like I think it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so they go downstairs. Jennifer is waiting. She suggests that they were fucking because it smells like nachos.
Thai she food. Says it smells like Thai food.
Which
Thai food.
Can someone explain that to me? What is that? Is that supposed to be a comment on?
It's what sex smells like, I guess.
No. She's saying it smells like fish because she's suggesting that Needy has a fishy pussy.
Okay. I guess I don't associate fish with Thai food. Like Thai food has all kinds of protein in it. So it
does, but they use a lot of fish sauce in things. And so it can often have a slightly fishy smell.
Okay, thank you, because I've never understood that reference.
It also could be that Jennifer has never had real good Thai food because she lives in a shitty tiny town. And so the Thai food that's available there is not very good and is very fishy.
Oh, that's possible. Yeah.
That is wild. Yeah. We also get a sense of the physicality of their performance here because they get into an almost aggressive shoving match. Like Jennifer fully shoves Needy into this glass window by her door, and it looks painful.
This was not in the script. This was actually something that both Fox and Seifert came up with themselves when they were shooting.
Oh, I think it's very effective.
It's really hot to me.
Okay.
I don't remember if I talked about this last time I was on here, but I I am very kinky and I am very, very much a sub. And there's this look on Needy's face after Jennifer pushes her into the door that looks like she is feigning shock to hide her arousal.
Right.
Because if someone who I was close with, who I was also kind of closetedly in love with, did that to me, it would turn me on sexually, and it would also like activate those kink receptors in me that are like, oh, I'm about to get dommed. Yes, yes, please.
Yeah, like, we're about to go out to the bar, but what we're already doing is engaging in foreplay.
Correct.
Love that. So we ditch lime green Jell-O, aka Chip, so that we can go to Melody Lane, and we do get a Diablo Cody cameo. And the girls get crossed out because they are underage at the bar. Trace, do you remember when we covered it? This is where it comes from. We had never talked about it before.
I knew this is where it came from, but honestly, I think because I think I'm on autopilot when I close out our episodes and we do like the cross out stuff. So I'm just like, I forget that's where this all started.
Yeah, and Jennifer says it earlier when she's trying to convince Needy to go to the concert with her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. It's probably one of my favorite, not colloquialism, but just the kind of Diablo Cody signature language. It's probably my favorite from this film. Because I do feel like it's actually very, reasonable to use in everyday life.
Yeah, like it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah. So then we survey all of these salty boys. So we've got football player Craig, who is Jeremy Schutz. We've got Ahmed from India. That is literally how he is. That is how he is credited in the film.
Oh yeah, Ahmed from India, the foreign exchange student.
So there were critiques about like the racial implications of that character, but I will say Diablo Cody says, look, it's a very broad statement, but it is like this statement on like how we as Americans, especially in this small town, like we treat other entities, especially in a post 9/11 world, as like either invisible or just like antagonistic.
Yeah, all he is Ahmed the kid from India. Like that's his whole identity to them. None of them have ever had a conversation with him, clearly.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like that works as like a little satirical bit.
Absolutely.
That's the thing, right? Like it's satire, but some people did not pick up on it as being satire. They took it up as being like intentionally or unintentionally offensive.
Yeah, which is wild to me because especially now, obviously we have the hindsight of 15 years, but it seems so obvious to me that this is the movie taking the piss.
Yeah.
And our final member of the Extra Salty Club is Police Academy student Roman, played by Chris fucking Pratt. And
Chris Pratt jump scare.
Thank God he's only in this for this like one scene. I presume that he dies in this scene. Is that what we're meant to take away from it?
He dies in the fire. At least I hope so.
Funnily enough, so the way the film is, yes, that's what we have to assume. There is a deleted scene after Chip dies, where he is the one that finds Chip's body in the pool. And apparently the character of Roman had much more to do in the script, but they had to cut a lot of it out. So this was very...
darn.
Yeah. And bear in mind, Chris Pratt wasn't famous by this point. Like season 2 of Parks and Rec was about to start.
That is Everwood erasure, and I hate you for it.
Okay,
but also we didn't hate Chris Pratt at this point.
No,
like this would have been like, beloved comedy actor from TV show. Yay.
Yeah, although playing a cop.
Oh, sure.
Never good.
I will say, though, he calls the band Low Shoulder a bunch of quote-unquote... I thought he said fagos.
No, he says fagos.
Fagos. I was like, what? That's a Diablo Codyism, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of a portmanteau of,
like
that
Fay
F slur and
Mm-hmm.
Fago the soda, which is what juggalos drink.
Oh, I thought it was Faye, like Faye.
No, I always interpret it as like, because they're wearing makeup, he was kind of associating them
They're clowns.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely have never gotten that. But thank you. Okay, honestly, I'm really glad you're here, Mae.
Mae has come to explain the movie to us, which we did watch, we swear. Smells like Doritos in here. What?
To be fair, if people think y'all are reaching sometimes, I'm the queen of reaching.
No,
I'm not a size queen. I'm a reach queen.
What? There you go. Love that good reach around. No,
print that on your tombstone, right? Oh boy. Yes, let's talk about Low Shoulder, shall we? So we have our lead singer, Nikolai, who is played by Adam Brody. And I mean, he looks great. This is the start of his, like, I've moved on from the OC and I only want to play complete fucking assholes. And I love it for his career trajectory.
He's so hot.
He's
and
so
I just
good.
can't be mad at him.
Yeah.
And I thirsted over him a lot on our Ready or Not episode of Lady Killers because he looks so good in that movie. And he also looks great here with the dark hair and the black eyeliner. I love it.
And it's so funny because I remember when Promising Young Woman came out, you know, like a lot of like praise was given to that film for casting like kind of every man as like the rapist in the movie. And not to discredit any of the good work Promising Young Woman does, but I just want to be like, well, Jennifer's Body did it first.
Yeah. It started here and then it got the glow up to Promising Young Woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so some very choice dialogue in these scenes. Jennifer is described as a state fair butter princess by Nikolai when she goes to buy the band 9/11 tribute shooters. This is all just fucking A+. I laugh my way through this entire sequence because it is kind of spot on, incredibly offensive, and then kind of spot on again.
And the funny thing is, in that commentary, like, you know, both Kusama and Cody are like, you think it's too soon for a 9/11 joke? But then Cody's like, I'm sorry, if you have been to a bar in the Midwest United States, they have that. Like, it's very much a go America like type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I die every time she kind of tilts her head a little bit and says, Tower 1's not full enough.
Well, and I think this is the scene too where you really do see that Jennifer is a little bit out of her element sometimes.
Yes, she's posturing.
Yeah, because when she even talks to Nikolai, like that really confident girl that we've seen before this and we'll see for most of the rest of the movie, that's not the one we're seeing here.
No, she's only in her element in the small town moments. It's when she has to interact with somebody who's even remotely like one step cooler than she is. She's completely out of her element. We do also call Needy Jan Brady in this moment, and I fucking love that.
That makes sense, yeah.
Sure,
absolutely.
Jan.
But this is the point where, you know, because it's America, we're also very, very excited and interested in women's virginity status. So we need a virgin. Nikolai, I do not understand this rationale or this line of thought. He convinces himself and his bandmates that Jennifer must be a virgin. Okay, Nikolai.
Because like it's the hottest girl in all these small towns. Like they always save it or whatever. It's like, okay, but it's okay because it leads to one of the best gags when she's just like, I'm not even her response is, what?
I haven't even been a backdoor virgin thanks to Roman.
I gotta say though, like she's like, I had to sit on a bag of frozen peas, and I was like, okay, but like here's the thing: if you gotta sit on frozen peas, you're not just sitting on them because you have to have it like in contact with your asshole. So you have to like spread your cheeks and flat out like wedge those peas between your butt cheeks.
And also, this is why sex ed needs to be more comprehensive so people would know you gotta stretch it out and you gotta use lube, people.
Lots of lube.
Well, and also, if you're like, obviously, yes, sex can definitely hurt. There can be some bleeding. We've all had encounters, shall we say. But like, if you have to sit on a bag of frozen peas the next day, you needed to open those lines of communication and you needed a better, non-shitty partner.
Well, she probably had an anal fissure.
Oh, Jesus, Chase.
Well, that's a thing. That's a thing.
I know. I didn't need to hear the words. That's what I'm saying. But it's okay because all of this will lead to Through the Trees, the anthem of Low Shoulder, and also the fire that is about to eclipse this bar. Folks, I forgot that we got a stampede and I get to see people get stomped on.
I wrote in my notes, oh my God, Joe tramples.
Speaking of foreplay and my kink, May, this is where mine comes into play.
I will say, and this also feels like a very intentional Carrie homage. The way that Needy watches the fire like move across is mirroring Amy Irving tracing the rope to the bucket in Carrie.
Yes. Yeah, and that is the sort of homage that works very well because it's just one quick little thing and it's not within its own universe.
Right.
So just a quick word on Low Shoulder. We don't need to talk about the guy who did the music or anything. I just want to say because I know y'all listen to mostly different music than me, and Trace, you're not a huge music guy.
Right.
At all. Yeah.
I grew up listening to emo, and
You don't say.
I always had pretty diverse taste in music because I was also listening to metal and like progressive rock and all of these other things, and I've never felt above pop music. But this is a genuinely good song.
It's a banger.
I love it, and it actually gives me goosebumps every time I hear it, and not just because of its association with this movie, but because it is a good song.
Yeah, like this is believable enough that you could imagine it being a hit. And when we name drop, you know, Adam Levine from Maroon 5 and they talk about the plight of being an indie band, you're just like, yeah, I bet you that there's a bunch of small ass indie emo bands, especially around this time when they would have been a dime a dozen. And you think this has a kind of Maroon 5-esque appeal. But if you didn't, you know, pledge your soul to Satan and sacrifice a not virgin, then it would be hard to break out, because even though the song is catchy, it doesn't stand out quite enough. Like this sounds like every other indie emo band you'll have heard.
But I'm glad it works though, because, you know, it's like in a movie that's about, you know, like a pop star where it's like, oh my God, this is like the most popular song in the world. And it's like, it sounds pretty basic to me. Or if it's like, oh, this person is the most beautiful thing in the world and everyone wants them. And it's like, okay, well, what are we looking at here? So
yeah,
this fits.
Yeah, it absolutely fits. And I got to be honest, if I could have sacrificed myself as a virgin at this time, I was not a virgin at this time, but if I could have sacrificed
not even a backdoor virgin?
No. If I could have sacrificed myself to get my music out there, I might have done it. My first album, by the time you hear this episode, it'll be a couple days until the 15th anniversary of my first album, As Everson Poe. And I've never had anything more than very, very small success with my music. And I'm not playing like indie rock or anything. I'm playing mostly metal, and it's a lot more difficult to get people to listen to that.
It's niche.
Yeah, it's absolutely niche. So it's not, again, like you're saying, Trace, the song works for what they're doing here.
Yeah. So we only get to hear a little bit of that song before the whole place does go up in flames. Do you folks take this to be like, does the fire start because of the band and the deal that they're making? Or is this just accidental?
No, this absolutely starts because of the band.
Yeah, but like, we don't see them. I just kind of view this as like, yeah, there's like demonic stuff going on here. Like it follows them around because they've probably been dabbling in the occult for a while trying to figure this shit out.
For sure.
Because I have seen people be like, oh, that bar was shit. It had an electrical fire and a bunch of people died. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure there's something else going on here.
Porque no los dos.
Cody does say that that's one aspect of the film she likes to just remain a mystery.
Oh, interesting. So we do make our way out through a bathroom window, but Jennifer is very clearly in shock, so it's not hard to lure her like a fucking sexual predator into this really cool van, and Needy just has to watch as she's taken away in the 89 rapist.
I love Adam Brody's delivery of that line. Like, oh, it's kind of like, you know, they're out there like totally in shock and like maybe dissociating even a little bit. But like he walks up with a fucking drink in his hand. Oh, it's kind of dangerous right now. You guys want to head someplace safer, like my van?
I've been looking all over for you guys. I'm so glad you're okay.
Like he's really good at being a piece of shit in this movie.
It's just so kind of like nonplussed, almost verging on flippant, where you're just like, oh, dude, you have no chill. You're not even trying to pretend like you weren't involved in whatever just happened. And people died. But they don't care. They care about getting famous, so it's fine.
Exactly.
Hey, anyone who dumps an entire bowl of M&Ms all over a hotel room is an asshole.
I was so confused by that.
Because
it feels
they're
like one of those
boys.
Yeah, like it's just in my rider. I need to have a bowl of M&Ms so I can flip it and feel important.
Yeah.
Okay, so Needy is all by herself. She goes home. We get this I'm going to say a little too long sequence of her on the phone with Chip, worried that someone is breaking in.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we all know that it's going to be Jennifer. And she is looking 10 different shades of fucked up.
Yes. I will say, though, I do, because I don't find a lot of this movie particularly scary. Like, I don't think it's a very scary movie. I mean, there's a lot of horror elements, obviously, but I do like when Needy's on the phone with Chip and she's walking down the stairs, down that impossibly thin stairwell, and the camera's, like, right behind her. Like, we're almost, like, on top of her. I thought that was actually really cool.
It's quite tense.
But I actually had an issue with how Needy's house is just covered in vines. Like, the yard is unkempt.
Hey, she's got a single mom who often works the night shift. She's doing her best, just like JC.
Right. Yeah, don't come down hard on Amy Sedaris. I will hunt you down.
No, if anything, this movie needs more of her. I think she has 1.5 scenes in this movie.
Yeah, I definitely needed to utilize her more because she's
so
not
great.
only such a good actress, her character is such an interesting amalgamation of different personality traits.
Yeah.
And so she feels like a genuine Midwest mom.
Yeah. I can't remember. I think it might have been something we talked about briefly 5 years ago, but I feel that way about all of the parents. Like, I don't need to see, what's his name? The guy that she kills in the woods. I don't need to see Jonas's parents more, but I would have liked to know a bit more about, like, Jennifer's mom and even Chip's mom.
Yeah.
And Chip's mom is played by the mom from Dead Like Me.
Cynthia Stevenson.
Yes.
Which I will say, so there is the deleted scene where we get to see Chris Pratt discover Chip's body, but then we also get to see the camera's position outside the house, but we are looking in the window as the cops are telling his mother that she is dead. And yeah, she doesn't have a breakdown, but she very much, like, sits down and she's like, I mean, she's clearly upset because she's found out her son has died. But that is something that I would have liked to have seen in the movie, because I just, like, again, like, because we don't get that. But there is also more Cynthia Stevenson in the unrated cut too, because like, she has one scene in the theatrical cut and she gets that extra scene where Amanda Seyfried goes to, like, see if he's home before the dance happens. That's unrated cut stuff.
Oh, interesting. I imagine a lot of the cut stuff is probably, I mean, it doesn't really sound like it's unrated. It sounds more like it was cut for pacing. But that's fine.
Which is interesting, because I think the unrated cut is paced very well.
I agree.
But it's also like, you know, the rated cut's hour 42, the unrated's hour 47, and I guess it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, you're hitting it too close to 2 hours. Like, we can't have that.
Yeah, try to get it under even 145 if you could, please and thank you.
That's what that sounds like.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the discovery of Jennifer having broken into Needy's house. Did you folks get, like, a blood rage kind of vibe from the way she just sits on the floor and eats this chicken?
That's not cranberry sauce.
I want to say, I had to look this up while we were talking about it. So Boston Market, by the way, its greatest presence is in the northeastern and midwestern United States, but has a very large presence in California, Florida, and Texas. But Devil's Kettle is in Minnesota, and I just went to Boston Market's website, and they have no locations in Minnesota.
I believe at the time they did.
It's been 15 years, folks. Come on.
And either way, Boston Market is honestly pretty fucking delicious. They just closed one of the only ones left near me, and I'm pretty bummed about it, because I could eat their mac and cheese and cornbread all day, every day.
See, their rotisserie chicken, I mean, like, I would have Megan Fox's creepy bloody smile every time I saw it when I was growing up.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds delicious. I'm also just now getting hungry, but thank you all for that.
It's very much a chain. Just don't get your hopes up if you ever cross a Boston Market.
Right. Okay. Maybe the next time I visit you, we'll see if we can check one out.
I'll have to see if I have one in Denver. I don't know.
Jeez. Okay. Needless to say, eating regular food doesn't go well. This is when we get our living black liquid. It's either fine or not great, depending on how you treat the CGI, but it's interesting. Like, it's one of those things where, sure, somebody who is supernaturally possessed or demonic blows chunks, and you're like, okay, well, I've seen this a bunch of times, but you don't expect the living, nightmarish, like, stalactite kind of piece to it.
Yeah.
So Needy goes to call the police, because obviously, as I said, Jennifer is 10 types of fucked up, and this is when the cheerleader briefly nuzzles her neck and then smashes her against the wall and leaves. So, I mean,
once again, real hot.
So this is the thing. And yeah, I could laugh with Trace, but I do agree with you, Mae, because I think the thing that we really wanted to talk about when we first covered this was, okay, let's talk about the kiss. Is it merited? You know, it was such a big fucking deal in the way that people reacted, how we sold the film. But this movie, it's not gently queer coded. Like, there is a genuine sexual and romantic element to the relationship between Needy and Jennifer all the way through the film.
And I don't think it's a bad thing that it's hot either. Like, something can be hot without being exploitative, you know?
Yeah, and we can have a debate about whether this film feels like quote-unquote gazy because it was intended for male audience members, or if this is one of those like, well, you know, women who find women, people who find women attractive might still find this. But I don't know. I mean, I think that Kusama treats this all fairly, not like chastely, but she's not leaning into the, ooh, look at girls kissing, look at girls pushing each other against walls.
It's once again a good example of a female writer, a female director handling material like this in a way that a lot of male writers and directors would not. It would be exploitative. It would be kind of gross. And here it isn't. It's genuinely hot, and it's genuinely... It feels very authentic.
Authentic, yes. Thank you.
Because, again, I've been in relationships like this, and especially when it is a friendship where there's this underlying sexual and romantic tension that no one's doing anything about.
Right.
Stuff like that can happen where it will bubble to the surface momentarily. And I think that's especially important to show in this scene because the parallels between what the boys in Low Shoulder do to her and sexual assault. And a lot of the time after an assault, even literally right after it occurs, someone can go into a mode of hypersexuality. And so if they have these kind of buried feelings, they can absolutely be bubbling to the surface because they are not in control of all of their faculties and they are potentially dissociating. So their brain is running on fucking autopilot.
Well, and I think also like when we're looking at things like in this particular movie being exploitative, it's always like the girl on girl stuff. Whereas like if this movie was about a male friend and a female friend, those discussions wouldn't be happening.
Right. And again, that's why it doesn't feel exploitative to me. It feels genuine.
And I think also the film, when you start to pay attention to it, has built out this pretty solid foundation of establishing this. Like, I remember when I first saw the film back in 2009, it felt as though the makeout scene comes out of nowhere, and I remember thinking, oh, this feels a little bit gross and icky. Like, why did we need this in here? And every subsequent time that I have watched the film and more carefully watched the film, I can see that we have laid a lot of the groundwork. Like, it is all here. I think it's just sometimes maybe because it's authentic, maybe because it's not super exploitative, it's easier to miss or maybe just misinterpret the nature of the physicality between these two girls.
Joe, I actually agree with you, and I do wonder, and maybe you have a different insight than us, but I do wonder if it's because this is written by a woman, about women, and made by a woman, if there's maybe some blanks that we aren't able to fill in ourselves as men.
Maybe. Yeah. Totally possible.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the nature of Needy and Jennifer's relationship is slightly foreign to me. You know, I think we can have conversations about the way that girls relate to each other, how they fight with each other. You know, that's why I think this film does fall into a sort of sweet spot in terms of its YA-ness. Like,
I'm sorry, did you just say YA-ness?
You did?
Yes, I did. As in capital Y, capital A, dash, ness.
A Waynel Fisher.
I hate both of you. I'm leaving this podcast. 300 episodes was a great run. Goodbye, everyone.
Trace, I guess I'm your official co-host now.
Just going to move this along. Okay, so yes. we move forward to the next day. Needy is rightfully dazed in class, and the girls are gossiping about her. Everybody is abuzz about the fire because, of course, a bunch of people fucking died. And then Jennifer comes in, and she looks healthy. She is even bitchier than usual. Like, to the point of being like, ooh, what's up with your nails? You need a mani bad. And it's like, cut to Needy crying, cleaning up just this massive amount of black vomit on the kitchen floor.
Oh, and that's to me one of my favorite, like, funny cutaways. Like, I know it's supposed to be kind of sad, but I laugh every time.
I think it's both.
Yeah, that's one of the movie's strengths, is that it can show you those things, that the comedic timing is perfect,
Yes.
even though the events themselves are inherently sad.
Yeah. Because, like, it's just such a comically large amount of vomit. Like, it was when we saw Jennifer puke. But then you imagine trying to clean it up and you just see Needy ineffectively trying to brush it and it just moves it around. You think, yeah, no wonder it took you all night. It's so bad. We've got this hilariously weird, hook-handed performance by J.K. Simmons as the bio teacher, Mr. Robluski. It's funny. It doesn't really add up to much. It kind of just feels like, we love this guy, we love this character, it's quirky and weird, let's give him a couple of scenes to do his thing.
I love his characterization because he doesn't just have a hook hand. He has very visible psoriasis on his neck and the thickest Minnesota accent I've ever heard in my life. And this is coming from someone who grew up watching Mystery Science Theater.
I actually am a little surprised we don't play with the Minnesota accent more since we are in Minnesota. But yeah, I agree with you, Joe, but it's worth having this character in here for the moment later when Jonas dies. And he's like, let it all out, kids. Let it all out. Like, that to me is like his best joke in the movie.
Yeah, like, he is a comic figure. I mean, again, in true YA fashion, none of the adults are ultimately helpful. This is very much a teens have to figure out shit for themselves because no one over the age of 18 is going to come to help you.
Yeah. I do love Jennifer's. It already won. We can't let that damn fire win. It already won.
It feels like such performative grief, especially from these girls who weren't even fucking there, and they want to attribute responsibility to all the wrong people later on in the film. You just think, yeah, this really is indicative of how people process not trauma, but like how, I don't know, we want to make the pain and the events our own so that we can have something to say about it. Again, it does feel very Heathers, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. So Needy tries to confide in Chip about Jennifer's weird behavior, and he doesn't believe her. Like a bad boyfriend. He doesn't believe his girlfriend, and he suggests that Jennifer just inhaled a bunch of smoke or something. You're like, okay, Chip. This is where we do get our introduction to Colin Gray, the Kyle Gallner character. Chip starts to get a little bit jealous of their interactions, and that will become a recurring thing every time we see Colin. Then we get some great new metal because it's 2009, and we got this great, like, speedy shot across the football field as Jennifer proposition Craig's distraught best friend Jonas, who is played by Josh Emerson. And then, we get this great weird scene where she takes him into the woods. They start to strip, and we see every fucking Disney animal on the planet watching them, and then she just gobbles them down.
By the way, that piece of music is Sacred Heart by It Dies Today, who are a metalcore band.
That sure, that sounds accurate based on the sound of that music, quote unquote music.
Wow.
Joe, I don't know if you've listened to any of my music, but I'm just trying to imagine now what Trace's face would look like if he ever listened to my music and heard me scream.
Look, here's the thing: like, I have some close friends here who are very much into that type of music, and it's very much a thing where I'm like, look, I'm so happy you all love it. It doesn't sound like anything to me. Like, it just sounds like screaming, which I know is a very, very reductive thing to say about that music, which is why I'm not just like running with it, but like, that's just how it sounds to me. I can't decipher anything they say.
It's okay. It's okay, Dad. Don't worry about it.
It's okay. I'm fine with that. But in regards to this jaw makeup effect.
Okay.
So during testing, the special effects teams realized that getting Fox in and out of the appliance used to create Jennifer's jaw would be too time-consuming. So, to remedy this, they hired a photo double. And so every day, for about 10 days, the double would sit in a chair with this full appliance on her. And they would shoot the jaw, and then all Fox would have to do is the dentures. When it came time to shoot any of these jaw moments, Fox would act out in rehearsal how she was going to attack her victim. And they would fine-tune that blocking so it was relatively locked. The camera accompanied them in the same way as it would roll and she would put her dentures in, and they would really distort her face in a way that would produce a satisfying and nice side effect. They had the contact lenses, but they would have her shoot all the key poses that existed in whatever moves the digital double was doing, so that they had as much of that appliance in the lighting conditions that they could get. They also created a hairless but high detailed head of the quote unquote stage 5 Jennifer that had an articulating jaw, because they did do a full from the shoulders up head cast of Megan Fox. But I do wonder if, because it's they're mixing Fox with this other double with some, because I've seen a picture of her wearing the dentures where it's her cheeks have green screen on them. And it's just, it doesn't always look... It looks the worst in this shot that's used in every single trailer. It looks better in the pool climax.
Yeah, and I think that's because it's in the dark. I think it's because it's more brief. It's not a straight-on shot because she's looking over her shoulder at me.
Right.
I think there are a lot of factors to why it looks better there, as opposed to this, where we are looking straight at her face as she's walking toward the camera, and her jaw opens up like one of the vampires in Blade 2.
Yeah. It's disappointing because I feel like the intended visual effect, to me, it's very reminiscent of Fright Night 1985. But I feel like those are just so much more successful. And part of me is we just went full practical prosthetic effect, and it lasts longer and it looks better.
And I'm just gonna say, y'all, anytime, because the elongated jaw thing is a very common thing, and especially horror period films of this time, and it's always done with CGI, and it never looks good.
No. And what I will say about Fright Night and Amanda Bierce having to wear that appliance is that it was a fucking nightmare for her.
I'm sure.
And if you watch You're So Cool, Brewster, the documentary about the making of both Fright Night movies, she talks about how much of a nightmare it was and how painful it was. But
the contacts were her big issue. Because she found out after the fact that they didn't do something right with them, so she was actually in pain that she wasn't supposed to be experiencing. So I guess I always latch onto the contact story of that more so than the mouthpiece.
If I remember correctly, she complained a lot about the mouthpiece and especially the adhesive.
Oh.
And I think what it ended up being is that she had a light allergy to the adhesive.
Oh.
And I may be misremembering, but I do definitely remember her going into detail about it. So I can kind of understand why they made the decision to go with a more CGI approach, especially if it wasn't coming together look-wise. But I wish they could have figured out a way to make it happen. And I'm always a big fan of animatronics.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder if they just didn't have the budget for it at $16 million. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, because the thing with the Amanda Bierce facial prosthetic, though, is that it doesn't move. It very much looks like a bottom mask on her. I mean, it looks like it's part of her face, but it doesn't have any mobility to it. And so I wonder if that's what they're trying to go for with with CGI, we can be more mobile with your mouth if we're trying to elongate your jaw like that.
Yeah. Well, not to stretch this out needlessly, but I'm curious of the two of... No, sorry, this is me not trying to... Okay.
No, it was a pun. You did a pun. It was funny.
I just thought it was a cute pun because we were talking about them stretching her mouth.
Yeah.
Do you two think that we even need this? Part of me feels like I would have been satisfied if we had given her gentle fangs and not some giant, I'm unhinging my jaw to eat you. I just don't get that because she doesn't get talent. She doesn't have any other kind of mutated thing. She has special abilities, but this is the only time that we see her distorted.
It's the only physical transformation other than her general appearance.
Yeah.
And I personally think it would be more effective if she just had to rip his throat open, rip his body open with her bare hands and with her regular human teeth.
Because we know she's stronger. But...
Right. I like the idea that the only changes are internal. That, she can fly now or hover. She's just hovering. It's not that big of a deal.
It's not even that impressive.
Oh yeah, no, that's actually one of the best lines of the movie. I actually because she's meant to be kind of a succubus, so I wonder if they were looking at artwork of like succubi and like trying to. I'm looking at some like right now, like some of them are like, oh, it's like the whole like. They could have just, it's vampire fangs, but like every one of her teeth is vampire fangs. Or there's some that's like the Glasgow smile where it's like, oh, like her whole, like the top of her whole head can like open up and like, like the critters and critters. So I don't know. Maybe it's a thing where it's like, oh, we designed it before we thought about how we were going to execute it.
Right. Yeah. Or we just always had this in mind and then we had to find a way to execute it. And this is what we could do.
Well, and that is the thing. Cody's scripts are very detailed. So I do wonder if Kusama was trying to be like reverent of the script notes, which a lot of directors wouldn't do, by the way.
It sounds like they had such a good working relationship that it is believable.
Yeah, I mean, Cody was on set for a lot of filming, which again isn't common with the writer.
Right.
Yeah.
When you talked about them bonding over Giallo films, which I am a huge fan of, I'm just trying to imagine if they had done this as a modern Giallo.
Oh yeah,
a la Knife and Heart.
Right.
And how fucking cool that would have been.
Honestly, like, bring us the Kara and Kusama Diablo Cody reunion.
Yes.
Oh my god, yes, have them do a modern Giallo.
Well, I'm still fucking pissed that we're not getting Kusama's version of Dracula.
I know.
Like, I will fucking die on that hill. But
imagine if we had gotten that instead of Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Oh my god.
Well,
please, no.
Yeah, I laughed through that whole episode.
That's such a boring movie.
All right, so after this, we do get some fried bologna sandwiches. Is this like a popular thing? I mean, I've definitely seen people eat them, but I was like, is this trying to suggest that we are struggling financially, that we are like lower class? I don't understand the connotation here. Or is it just like...
I think it's both, and also Needy is just a little weird, and she likes fried bologna and mayo sandwiches.
Okay. I mean, they kind of look delicious until we drop them on the floor, but...
Ugh.
Yeah.
Bologna just is a gross-sounding word. That's the only problem.
I ate a lot of turkey bologna as a kid, but my favorite way to eat it would be to take a slice and roll it into a tube, and then eat it like a Purine cookie.
Right. I mean, these are all garbage meats, so you eat them however you want and don't apologize for it. Needy is very unhappy to hear, though, that there is a radio story suggesting that Low Shoulder was very helpful in getting people out of that fire, and she doesn't like that. But then, this is when we get the scene with her mom. It's so brief. But
I know.
It essentially exists just to suggest that one day Needy will have to take care of herself because her mama bear will not be there to protect her.
Yeah, but her mom also has this nightmare of her getting people nailing Needy to a tree, just like JC.
The reference to Jesus Christ as JC is just so funny to me.
Well, I think that coupled with her very lazy doing the cross over herself.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
That's a cafeteria Catholic if I've ever seen one.
Oh, my God. Sidebar, if folks have not seen Amy Sedaris in Strangers with Candy, I implore you to go and check it out because that is an all-time hilarious character.
Joe.
Yes.
I've never seen the movie or a single episode of Strangers with Candy.
Oh, Trace, I think you would really like it.
So were you like that one drag queen on the episode of Drag Race where they all had to do Jerry, who had never seen or even heard of the show?
It's the funniest thing. Like, I didn't know. I just missed it. Like, I remember when the movie came...
It was a small show.
Yeah, well, I remember the movie came out, and that was when I first heard about it. But no, honestly, my biggest Amy Sedaris thing is it's a voice acting role. Shit, it's BoJack Horseman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But nevertheless, I've heard wonderful things about Strangers with Candy.
It is very funny, and it's got Stephen Colbert, pre or contemporary with The Daily Show.
I'm assuming very transgressive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, some pretty, offensive, but deliberately so, even for the time, kind of humor. Her big saying is that she's, a former crack whore. And you're just like, oh, my God, what?
Yeah. I mean, I hate that it's taking me this long to name it, but, transgressive work is kind of my...
it's your thing,
I love it. If someone says that's wrong, I want to watch it.
There you go. Yeah, it's probably John Waters' favorite show.
Yeah.
So all that to say, Mama's not always going to be there. And then we get the iconic from the trailer scene of Jennifer swimming across the lake in slow motion to rock music. It's a very gorgeous scene. This is why I said everybody, go and visit Burnaby, because British Columbia is so fucking gorgeous. This is what a lot of, rural or mountainous British Columbia looks like. Stunning landscapes.
I do love the detail here, though, where the water is steaming off of her body when she gets out of the lake.
Yeah.
Also, the song here is by a band called The Sword, who are kind of a stoner doom metal band. And this is one of my favorite uses of music in this movie, because it's not something that you would have expected a movie to use around this time. It's not in line with emo. It's not in line with nu metal. It's a little bit more of a niche thing. Okay. And I feel like it matches the slow motion of the scene so well. And every time I watch this scene, I get goosebumps because of that audiovisual combination.
That's okay. I just want to let y'all know, though, I bought and listened to the soundtrack for this movie a lot when it came out. However, what I normally do is when I buy a soundtrack, it's because I like one song on it, and then I listen to that one song over and over and over again. I listen to a couple. Because the Cobra Starships, Chew Me Up and Spit Me Out, listen to that nonstop. Florence and the Machine, Sketch the Fist, Panic at the Disco, New Perspective, Haley Williams, Teenagers, all of that shit. Finishing School, Dashboard Confessional, I was on that shit. And look, The Sword is on here, but I have no idea what that song is.
You were clearly this is the one you skip. Also, Dashboard Confessional, that is who Low Shoulder is aspiring to be.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Maroon 5, sirs, you are throwing up too high.
And I'll say, because while I am not into music very much, my sister was very much the emo girl. I have listened to more Green Day than I would care to admit. I actually like Green Day quite a bit.
I got to see them for the first time in my life a couple weeks ago with my bestie Erica.
Still rocking out.
It was amazing.
Amazing. Okay, so then we get another great trailer moment where Jennifer calls Needy. I do love this line. Why hasn't Needy gotten over the white trash pig roast in the middle of town?
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
Every time Jennifer refers to the fire, it is not kind.
No, not so much. But she is saying this as she is lighting her tongue on fire with the Bic. And what a great fucking image. This is 100% hell as a teenage girl.
Yeah, my tattoo artist and friend Vanessa tattooed this on her friend.
Nice.
And it absolutely looks incredible. If you want to check her out, she's Queen Mab of Spells on Instagram, and it's definitely posted on there because it's fantastic. She's done a lot of horror portraits, and some of them for me. She just did a Miss 45 tattoo for me.
Ooh.
And there's just something about the way she renders these images that is fantastic.
Well, speaking of fantastic imagery, we also get the slow motion strut down the school hallway with Jennifer in her pink hoodie. I never really noticed that we deliberately dull the color on everybody else, so it looks like they're maudlin, grieving, kind of washed out, and then Jennifer is this vision in hot pink bubble gum.
That's such a nice example of an appropriate use of digital color grading in a film,
right?
As opposed to making everything look green, which works in Dark City and The Matrix, but nowhere else.
Not a Saw movie?
Okay, fine. It works in the Saw movies too. Hey, everything's green in Saw City.
Yeah, it's everything. Right? We're also getting this montage of like how people are getting this tragedy boner, as well as the ascent of low shoulder on the chart. So this is really sort of moving the narrative along. You know, we've lost poor Jonas, and everybody is kind of grieving. And this is how we get to the next sort of big piece.
I gotta say, I find it so interesting that with this whole ritual, because, you know, like, oh, they fuck up because they didn't sacrifice a virgin, but it's like, it falls on Jennifer. Like, she gets possessed by the demon, whereas they still get, like, the fame that comes with it. Like, so they shouldn't have even cared about sacrificing a virgin or not.
Truly. But I think they didn't know that. And, like, to me, it speaks volumes that the only time we see low shoulder again is, like, in all of these press images and when they come back to play the dance and so on. But, like, they didn't even care about what happened to her. They didn't even check to see if she was even dead or if she's hunting them, because they're shitty boys who did a horrible thing to this girl and then just left her like garbage.
Honestly, they should have dropped her down the waterfall thingamajig, and then she comes out. That would have made more sense, maybe. But
thought they did.
I guess we don't know.
Oh, I always interpreted it as
no, she says she found herself in a ditch, so I think they did. She just managed to survive.
Because we know that they throw the knife down there.
Yeah.
And we know Edie finds it at the end by that drain pipe.
Yeah.
So I assumed that they threw Jennifer in there and she cycled through that vortex or whatever.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Devil's Kettle is a real thing in Minnesota.
Oh.
Yeah, it's up in northern Minnesota, so it's a real attraction you can go see. It doesn't look the way it does in the movie.
No. Well, because they filmed in British Columbia.
Right, exactly. And the actual funnel effect is CGI.
Right.
But yeah, I assume that they threw Jennifer down there, and I always think it's ironic that this is a rare example where if she had said, "I'm not a virgin," they would have maybe they wouldn't have left her alone or let her go. Maybe they still would have like fucked with her. But it's just so funny because we put, as a society, we put virginity on this fucking pedestal.
Yeah,
and this is an example of not being a virgin could have saved her.
Well, and that's the thing is like Jennifer is even saying like, oh, my virginity is the valuable thing, but like where it's like, oh no, you should be proud of your sexuality and all of your sexcapades that you've had in the past, because that will save your life in this scenario.
Oh my god, new letterbox list unearthed, like movies that suggest that having sex will save your life. It's like this, and then Extraordinary.
Which y'all could cover.
Oh, we love Extraordinary.
Oh, okay. Wait, have you covered it?
No.
Okay, I thought I saw your name on an episode with that somewhere.
Yeah, and then the other one is obviously Cherry Falls.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And the idea of using virgin blood in a ritual is a misinterpretation. What it needs to be is blood from someone whose blood has not previously been used in a ritual before.
Wait, I think you told us this.
You talked about this on The Perfection, I want to say.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I was,
that checks out.
Unless someone else told us, I have definitely heard this before.
I'll never shut up about it because it's another example of our culture upholding purity as this pinnacle of being a civilized human being. And it's like, no, these rituals don't care whether or not you've had sex. It's about whether or not your blood has already been utilized to do magic.
Right.
Because if it has, then your blood is tied to that magic and can no longer be used for it. So it's magical purity, not sexual purity.
Yeah.
Well, and to me, this is also just another... It's not satire because I don't think it's ultimately very funny, but this feels like another bit of social commentary on what we place a value on women's bodies, but specifically teenage girls' bodies, right? Like, you're only as valuable as your purity. I also think it's very telling that Jennifer seems to go through month-long cycles before she needs to eat another boy.
Oh, you noticed that, huh?
I don't know what that's in connection to, but yeah, 1 month. Weird. Okay, so 1 month later, Mr. Wroblewski announces that 3% of the sales of Through the Trees will go to victims' families.
What about the other 97%?
I love that the other girls are like, why are you being such a bitch about this? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, 97%? It's not going to victims' families. That is an astronomical number. But that's fine. So after class, Needy notes that Jennifer is, she's got the skin that's breaking out. Her hair is dull and lifeless. So clearly somebody has not been eating. And then this is when Colin comes back in the picture.
So quickly about like making Megan Fox quote unquote ugly in this movie.
Right. We didn't have a hair elastic, so we couldn't put her in a ponytail or anything.
Yeah. So the team wanted to maintain some the makeup team wanted to maintain some of the Megan Fox's allure, but said that it was incredibly difficult because as soon as they warped her face in any direction, the shine kind of came off of it. So to combat this, they ended up focusing on anything below her nose, where they had the freedom to make things as horrific as they needed to. And then above her nose, they could manipulate it somewhat with warps and color correction in her eye sockets. So even at her worst, she had some of that sexiness throughout.
Weird.
I know, right? It's like, just make her ugly. It's fine.
I mean, I guess still only be Hollywood ugly.
Right, truly. I guess part of it is that we're about to reintroduce Colin, and of course he's asking her out. So even though, to us, the audience, she clearly looks aged and a little bit haggard. Like, to me, she kind of looks like she just hasn't been sleeping very much, which is maybe true.
She looks like she hasn't been sleeping and she has her period.
Right.
Like that's it.
Yeah, like someone who has a period, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And she's wearing less makeup than usual. It's very interesting what we associate with someone looking healthy.
Well, I think it's also her hair is so flat. Her hair looks greasy as fuck.
Yeah. But so does mine after I don't wash it for a few days.
Oh, mine looks like that when I don't wash it for a day.
Yeah, I used to wash my hair every day, sometimes twice a day in the summer. And then I learned it was really bad for my hair. Yeah, so now I wash it like every 3 or 4 days.
Everyone tells me that, but my hair is so naturally greasy. So like literally, like I don't even use conditioner because if I use conditioner, it will like clump together. Anyway, I'm sorry. Before we move on to Colin, I do love Jennifer's thought on the Low Shoulder song. Yeah, it's really poorly produced.
Could the bass be any lower in the mix?
I just love it because, again, that suggests to me that Jennifer is actually far more complicated than people give her any kind of credit for, because she does know a bunch of random weird shit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's just that she's often too busy being a bit of a bitch for people to notice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yes, Colin comes back into the picture. This is when he tries to sell her on a date, going to see that boxing movie, the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I love how sad and frustrated he gets when she mixes it up with Rocky, and he's just like, I can't deal with this.
Yeah, he's like,
no. I clearly have made a mistake, and this person that I thought I was on equal footing with and trying to be cool with has no idea about any of my interests.
But what I love about this scene, because, Jennifer has zero interest in Colin, but she doesn't show any interest until Needy says something nice about him. And
he's cool. And then all of a sudden, why don't you come to my house and we can watch Aquamarine, the movie about the girl having sex through her blowhole. Which, P.S.,
she's like
not
half
what
sushi.
Aquamarine is about either.
But yeah, that's what the Jennifer friend in a relationship does.
Yeah.
Is it goes back to the sandbox and Jennifer is stealing Needy's toys.
Yeah.
She wants what Needy has because she is so insecure with herself that she's afraid that if she just wants what she wants, it's going to be seen as wrong.
And that's the thing is, I think there's so many nuances to Fox's portrayal that, again, like you see, like, I think there's an easier there's a different version of this movie where she isn't as good of an actress and she just like feels like Megan Fox the whole time. But again, all those insecurities, they come through in these moments. And I think
it's Jennifer. It's not Megan Fox in those moments, right?
Exactly. And so that's the thing where it's like, I mean, like, look, I haven't seen enough of Megan Fox's roles to know how much range she has, but I don't think she's a bad actress, or at least not in this movie. I think she's very, very good in this movie.
I think when she's given the opportunity, she shines. Yeah. Even on New Girl, she's great.
Right.
her character arc on that show is great, and I love when she shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And, Trace, let's talk about another surprise that you and I discovered on Patreon. We covered that Till Death movie, and we were like, wait, what the fuck is this? This is really good. And she's really good in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if y'all haven't seen that, definitely worth a watch. It was I think it was a pandemic movie, actually. But
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, no, real good.
Okay, so all this to say, we have agreed to go out on a date with Colin because Needy showed interest, and even though it's against the rules of feminism, this is going to happen. So, sorry, that was me trying to tie in the Mean Girls because, of course, So we essentially get to see 2 different dates. We get to see Chip and Needy having sex, and we also get to see Colin driving to a dark, abandoned street where Jennifer waits in the only lit window of this entire block. And she admits when he comes in that he really gives her a wettie. And then she flashes these. I hate it.
Yeah.
It's so gross.
Oh, God, it's so gross. It's like, it's the equivalent of someone with a penis saying, "You give me a stiffy." Which is
I don't like that either, though.
Yeah, it's not
all gross.
Well,
Right.
so what's the wetty version of boner then? Like, is there because I think boner or hard on are like easier,
I think it's a
more
sign,
palatable.
isn't it?
I would just like, I mean,
Isn't it just wet? Like you make me wet or you get me
I
wet?
would just. And like,
yeah.
Spoiler alert, I still have a penis and it's not going anywhere. But because I am a woman, I prefer saying that makes me wet. Because that also does happen, even if you still have a penis.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
But yeah, wetty is just absolutely disgusting.
It's a testament that she can say this and Colin is still like, yeah, okay, let's get down to fucking that.
Oh yeah, very much.
Yeah,
so.
I literally would have been like, yeah, I'm out. Bye.
Ew, it's a hard pass. Sorry.
Yeah.
So she flashes these demonic eyes at him. She then breaks his wrists because she needs him scared, which I love because it feels like a nice callback to that moment where we saw the animals in the woods. Like, at least that's how I read it. Like they were sort of attracted to the animalistic nature of what she does, but also they can sense the fear.
Interesting. See, for that, I was always kind of like, oh yeah, like in these like demon things, like animals always act weird when there's demon shit going on.
That is true too.
But
I
you're right.
wish we had gotten more of that later in the movie with her other kills, so that it would have been a little more consistent. And also, I just love the silly little puppets or animatronics, whatever they are, the ones that are clearly not real.
Oh no! They're real animals. All of them are real. They're all real. But so there's a shot where they're all in one shot together. They could not get that to happen, so they composited different shots of the animals to get them in one room. But no, they are all, because Diablo Cody makes it a point to be like, I wasn't on set that day, and I was really sad I didn't get to meet the animals.
Okay, well then pretend I didn't say that. The animals are really cute, and I wanted more of them.
No,
there
I
we
get
go.
I get it. But so this scene though is cross-cut with a consensual sex scene between Needy and Chip, which I do love the gag of, am I too big?
Oh my god, it's so funny.
Well, and that feels like typical teenage boy who wants to be the hot stud, and I find that charming because he's not being gross, he's just being a teenage boy.
Yeah.
Right.
Though admittedly, when a girl starts screaming like that, and for you to make it all about your own pleasure, again, I say gently, Chip.
But he thinks she's moaning in pleasure. He thinks she is.
Because he's so out of tune with what she's actually experiencing.
Yeah, but again, that to me is like, yeah, he's a teenage boy. But this is the scene though where it's the psychic connection between Jennifer and Needy is like at its most I don't know, vivid.
Also, I cannot believe, like, obviously the marketing, we've talked about it twice now about how it just totally fucking fumbles the ball, but the fact that we didn't include this image of a gargoyle Jennifer perched next to Jonas's body, like, that physicality is super incredible, but also this is a fucking scary looking picture of Jennifer.
Yeah. If I ever get a tattoo from this movie, it's gonna be that. Because that to me is somehow even more iconic than her holding the lighter to her tongue.
I am going to offer a correction, though. I believe
is it in there?
I believe that shot of her gargoyle, like next to Jonas's body, is in the trailer, but it might be a close up of her face, and you only see her knees like in the bottom of the frame, because they obviously can't show Jonas's gutted corpse in the trailer for this movie.
No, would not get away with that from the MPAA. Okay, and then we get this fantastic, because of course it's a silhouette, so I love it. We get to watch Colin just get brutally murdered in silhouette, and it's great.
So here's the thing. I always thought the silhouette was like a CGI silhouette, because her waist is the tiniest
Impossibly
thing.
small. Yeah.
No, that's really her shadow.
Oh, no. That is unhealthy looking.
It's just tiny waist, man. Go talk to Violet Chachki.
That is also unhealthy traits. Okay, so yes, Needy, because she's experiencing these visions and seeing flashes, she bolts out of Chip's place. She nearly runs Jennifer over in the road. Do you take this to be real, or is this a hallucination? Or is it like, yeah, she's actually there, but then because Jennifer has these powers, she can just get back to Needy's place super fast?
I think that's actually happening.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
What about my mom's Kia? Yeah, that's the other thing. If it wasn't really happening, the windshield wouldn't have gotten smashed.
Right.
And it
Okay.
does.
Yeah. I guess some of this does sometimes have an almost hallucinatory vibe, though, because maybe we don't know the full rules of how the succubus works. So sometimes it feels like we're discovering, like, oh, she can do this. Oh, she can do this. Oh, she can levitate, and so on.
Yeah.
So one of the other things she can do is apparently hide in your bed, because when Needy goes home and she goes up into her bedroom, she finds her bestie waiting for her. And this is where we get the kiss.
Is that my Evil Dead t-shirt?
I mean, okay, so is there anything more to be said about this? We've said we don't feel it's particularly exploitative, that we've laid the groundwork for a certain level of physical intimacy between the two girls. Like, any other thoughts about this kiss?
I mean, this just feels like two teenage girls, or two teenagers, maybe I'll just remove the girl, just two teenagers experimenting. Like this, I mean, granted, given the circumstances, maybe it's kind of like, why are you doing this, Needy? But I also buy that, again, with whatever this extrasensory connection that they have, and since Jennifer has just eaten, she is like at her most glowing, that it's almost like she's like seduced into it, like unwittingly.
I think it's more that she has feelings for Jennifer that go
I do
beyond platonic.
Yeah.
And
she just never was able to fully realize or process it. Like, that's why I think she goes like, fuck. Like,
right, because she catches herself.
But I think it's because she realized, oh, I have been wanting this. I just maybe either didn't think it was going to happen, or I didn't realize it until it was happening, and this is not just experimenting.
And I think there's something, too, where I think that some people maybe at the time would read that as, oh my god, like she's freaking out because she's kissing a girl, whereas I'm reading it now as, no, she's freaking out because she's kissing a murderer.
Exactly. And I think one of the facets of their psychic connection is shared emotion. And because Jennifer in that moment is feeling so warm and full and essentially horny, then Needy is kind of absorbing some of that from her. And that happens in real life, too, when we're very close to people. You don't need an ESP psychic connection. Everything's about energy. And when you're with someone that you're very close to and you're used to sharing energy with that person, if that person's energy is in a particular space, you may start feeling that. And that's why sometimes if one person in a couple is horny and wants to get down to business and the other person's not, they can just like be a little closer together, and it kind of gives them some of that energy. So I kind of interpret this as an enhanced version of that.
Right.
That makes sense.
But here's the thing, though. Like, is this very erotic and very hot? Yes. But that doesn't make it exploitative. I do feel like this feels true to the characters. But there's also a bit of suspense in it too, because I mean, I don't think Needy's going to die in this scene, but it's also like, hey, we have our lead character making out with someone who's essentially a cannibal.
And the first time you watch this, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen to Needy. We know that she has scars on her. We know that she's in prison or an asylum of some kind. But we don't know everything that happened to get her there. So this could be a part where Jennifer attacks her.
Yeah, and I'm actually kind of thankful that it doesn't go that way just yet. Like, I'm glad that we don't conflate this moment of sexuality that we've been building up to with a moment of violence, because I think it would actually undermine a lot of the good work we've done about building up their relationship. Like, basically, we need to first get to the story about the night of the ritual, for lack of a better term. But then also really the breaking point of intimacy between these two when we return to the present day, or sorry, the past, is when Jennifer brings Chip into the conversation. Because I firmly do believe that Needy is bisexual. Or pansexual for Chip and Needy. Sorry, for Chip and Jennifer.
See, this again is a great argument for polyamorous relationships. Needy could be dating both of them.
That would have to be an open relationship, because a polyamorous relationship would imply that they were in a throuple, and I don't think that Jennifer and Chip would get along.
Nope, that's not how polyamory works. That's just a throuple.
Wait, but isn't Isn't polyamory like when you're actually having relationships with the same people? Be it 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7?
No.
Oh shit! I guess I gotta Google shit.
Polyamory is when you have multiple romantic partners. Those partners do not necessarily have to be seeing each other as well.
Wait, so
that does happen sometimes, and sometimes, like, there are people who will date all together, but sometimes they'll go on separate dates as well.
Then is there a separate term then for if there are 5 people who are all in a relationship together?
A quintuple.
Oh, so but there's not like a general like polyamory, bigamy type term for it.
No, because I mean that technically falls under the non-monogamous / polyamorous umbrella, but 5 people all interdating each other at the same time does not happen a lot. It would be more likely that, like, I have a partner who has a partner and we can all spend time together, but I'm not dating their other partner.
Wow.
It's like a band camp thing.
Sure.
Learn something new every day.
There we go. That's why we do this. Okay, so let's briefly talk about this ritualistic sacrifice. So we flash back to the night of the fire. We see Jennifer in the back of this rape van. And I will say, I think one of the most insidious, chilling lines of this entire film is Brody's delivery as Nikolai, where he says, "You don't have to talk if you don't want to." And she's literally just asking questions like, where are we going?
Oh, no. It's that glib attitude he had earlier, but it's like, oh, you should go somewhere safe like my van. But even like when she asks him, like, are you guys rapists? And his response is just to his bandmate, oh, God, I hate girls.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and I think it works so well in this movie because he is not, 40 years old and creepy and lecherous. Like, he looks about a year older than them. And this idea that he is just so callous, so dismissive of teenage girls. I'm using quotations, scare quotes that no one can see. And I just think that's really chilling. Like that I think is part of the reason why this movie is so feminist and why it has been reappropriated after the fact and like sort of brought back up because of moments like this that seem so finely tuned to the experience of teenage girls.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, they're basically doing this because it's really hard to be an indie rock band and we want to be rich and famous.
Like that guy from Maroon 5.
Yeah, like that guy from Maroon 5. And then I've actually heard a number of people say that they find it very, very creepy and chilling when everyone in the band starts singing 8675309 as they stab Jennifer to death in slow motion.
It's absolutely horrifying.
Yeah. So apparently this is something, because it was in the script. I don't know if they had the actual... No, the song was in the script too, and I guess they had a producer that basically kept saying like, this isn't going to work, like this is going to be too stupid. And after but after the producer saw the dailies and he like watched the final cut of it, he was like, oh no, it works.
Never mind. I was wrong. This to me is like a very American Psycho, or where we're using music ironically. You know, I think that horror films have actually gotten quite good at doing this in the last like 10 to 15 years. So this totally makes sense for me. But yeah, it's pretty unnerving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so uncomfortable because it's not a sexual assault scene. It is a murder scene, but it feels like a sexual, like she is being, well,
it's a violation.
It's a violation. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's part of why it makes it so unsettling that they are joyfully singing this fantastic 80s pop song.
Right.
Because this just feels like nothing for them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is, sexual assault is dehumanizing. There are a few things that you can do to someone that are more dehumanizing than sexual assault, completely removing their agency. And because this scene is an analog or a parallel for sexual assault, it really goes together that they are seeing her as nothing.
But it doesn't feel tonally out of place, because even though we have a lot of comedy in this movie, I would argue that when it has to hit hard, it is effective at doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there is, like, I think some people could find comedy in this because of the song choice.
Oh, yeah.
I find it, like, as I've said, unsettling and kind of ironic.
I think it's something where it's funny when you start realizing what they're doing, and so you maybe, like, kind of, like, giggle a little bit, but then it keeps going, and you're kind of like, oh, shit. Yeah, that's my experience watching this.
I guess what's interesting to me is that I find all of the stuff that happens to Jennifer, like in some ways, it's incredibly tragic, right? Like, she was a bit of a poser girl who put on an artifice to get through high school, and then this truly terrible, awful thing happens to her. But I don't feel that way about any of the boys. And as I said, I don't think the men come off super great. You two have disagreed with me. That's fine. We don't need to revisit it. But it sounds like I'm being so flippant. But it's more, yeah, let's move it along. But like when we get to the murders of the boys, I don't feel anything for them. Like I think the most I feel is probably for Colin. And then, yes, later on Chip. But even in those moments, you're kind of like, oh, okay, well, they didn't really deserve that. But it's nothing compared to what I feel for Jennifer in this moment.
I agree that I don't feel as much for them as I do for Jennifer, but I even feel bad for Jonas, like the football jock, because yes, like he's being like this kind of like he wants to fuck Jennifer, but she's also like using his grief against him, like to like knowing like what he's gonna do. So I don't know. I feel something for them, but yeah, nowhere near as much as what I'm feeling for Jennifer, because she is an actual character in this movie.
Well, yeah, there is that, right? Everybody else is in support of the journey that we're going on with Needy and Jennifer.
Right.
All that to say, Amit is about to die. We kind of like cut back and forth a little bit. It's like, where is Amit? How come no one has talked to? Like, there's this moment where I think Mr. Bio teacher says something along the lines of like, yeah, this many people died, including Amit. And you're like, wait, what? When did that happen? And then we learn during this flashback, that's why Jennifer showed up to Bio looking so fresh and clean, because she ate poor Amit on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. And nobody really even noticed, because of course that's part of the joke about how we treat people who are quote unquote not American. Okay. Yeah. So when Jennifer starts to talk about Chip after this makeout, this is when Needy does order her out. So she jumps out the window 2 stories down. It's good stuff. Mm-hmm. Then we've got the comedy with Colin's goth friends at his funeral making spectacles of themselves.
This is an unrated only thing. So this scene has 3 different versions of it. One is the theatrical cut, which I think it's barely even a thing. Like I think we just see the funeral happening.
Right.
In the unrated cut, yes, we have Colin's friends that are like really being really sad. His mom delivers the first delivery of lasagna with teeth, whereas in the theatrical cut, we only hear that from Chip and his mom.
Okay.
But I will say there's a deleted scene of this scene as well.
Jesus Christ.
So before the goth kids break down and the mom like goes off on them with the lasagna with teeth stuff, they ask the mother if he went on a date with Jennifer Check and why that was a horrible thing to do, and if he did, like it was horrible, blah blah blah. And then they start like going off like about death and stuff.
Okay.
Really interesting. I just thought that was like, oh, like, that's such a weird scene that you like butcher to like have 3 different versions of it.
Yeah, I wonder if they were just finding none of them were quite working, or they were trying to experiment, does it work this way? Is it more effective this way? And so on.
Now, before, because literally right after this, because like we see Needy at the funeral and she's staring. There is another deleted scene that I actually do wish they would have kept in, because after the makeout scene, we never really have a scene with Jennifer and Needy again until the climax.
Right.
There is a scene where when Jennifer's in the locker room at school and Needy approaches her and basically says like, you have to stop killing this. And this is when we get the iconic line, I'm not killing people, I'm killing boys.
Which I believe is in the trailer.
It is.
Well.
It is 100%. And I never noticed that it wasn't in the actual movie. It's only in a deleted scene.
Yeah.
But basically, she says, if you don't do this, I'm going to have to stop you. And Jennifer goes, well, if you stop me, then you have no one else except yourself. And that's
that
horrible.
is such an important part of this story.
Why would we have cut that out?
Because they wanted to make sure that they were not together. Like, it was like, okay, that scene in the bedroom was like basically Needy being like, okay, this is what I got to do, and we keep them separate and for the rest of the movie until the climax.
No,
I don't
find that
like
as
that.
effective.
I agree. I really wish they would have kept it in, because it does, because you never get the feeling that Needy tries to barter with Jennifer at all.
Yeah, like she just goes into, okay, I'm going to look up demons, I'm going to find out how to kill them, and I'm going to take her out.
Yeah. So,
and this also is even more indicative of their relationship dynamic, where Jennifer she loves Needy, and she also knows she needs her.
Mm-hmm.
And this is her way of manipulating Needy to keep her in a subservient position and also prevent her from abandoning her.
Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then after that scene is when she goes off and starts doing the demon research in the library.
Right, which makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, because she's been pushed to the limit. It's the only other option that she has. And of course, we've not talked about it, but in the sandbox, school friend origin story, we heard that, okay, the blood is what unites them, but also that Needy will never tell on Jennifer. So that's why she doesn't go to the police.
Right. Which I'm just kind of like, maybe just break your rule this one time.
Bend that rule a little bit.
Yeah, but also, what would the police do?
Oh,
Jennifer
nothing,
would just
but
kill them. And also ACAB.
Both of those are true and fair. Yes. Okay, so we learned that this is a case of demonic transference, that the only way to effectively kill a demon is to stab it in the heart. And this is also when Needy decides she needs to protect Chip by breaking up with him, because the dance that is forthcoming that we've not really mentioned much about until this narratively convenient moment in the film, but it will be an all-you-can-eat boy buffet. And Chip is very upset, but mostly because he spent $12 on a corsage. I remind you once again, Chip not the greatest.
I thought that was just him being funny.
I thought it was too.
Because he just can't believe that Needy is actually ending things between them for his protection. So I think he's being a smartass and being like, I spent $12 on it. Like, come on, you gotta go.
I guess this is the second time that she has tried to inform him of her suspicions of Jennifer. Like, we get this amusing line where she says, she's evil. And he says, yeah, I know. And she's like, no, evil, not like high school evil.
I mean,
but Chip doesn't believe her. He doesn't fucking believe his girlfriend when she tries 2 different times to say something is very wrong.
He's a little dim-witted. Like, I don't know.
You two are falling over to apologize for this character, and I don't get it.
It's fine. He's fine. He's so
fine,
lovable.
but he's not
so lovable.
Great.
But I will say this, though. I think he might be written that way, but I think Johnny Simmons' performance is so endearing that it softens a lot of those edges for me.
This is true. He is like a puppy.
So that's going to be the compromise we make tonight.
Okay.
Is this before or after Scott Pilgrim?
This is before Scott Pilgrim.
Okay.
Probably just before, though. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like he brings that same charm to young Neil in that movie, who is a very different character, but has that same sort of like easygoing and just sweet nature to him, where he just feels so inoffensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how could you possibly get mad at him? Look at how sweet he is.
Right.
Yeah. And Scott Pilgrim, by the way, comes out 11 months after this movie.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I always hear him going, he punched the highlights out of her hair.
I like
that delivery is so good. Okay, so let's get ready for the dance because, of course, this ends at prom. Well, it's actually like a spring formal, but, the same idea. So we get everybody getting ready. Trace, is this like either an uncut scene or something? The stuff with Chip getting the pepper spray from his mom, or is that in the theatrical cut as well?
That's in the theatrical cut. The stuff with his mom that's not in the theatrical cut is whenever Needy runs to the house when she realizes, and there's the fight with like the little girl on the piano, or you don't want everyone to see your Kiki, or whatever she calls her vagina.
Yeah.
Kiki.
The stuff with his sister is also amusing, but it feels sometimes like it's in a different film.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny, but I'm like, there's not quite enough of it to make it land. So it always just feels like we like this character and also wanted to include something with them.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Like when she calls Chip a penis cheese.
That doesn't make me laugh, though.
I know. It's so gross.
It's so gross. Yeah, and we can see that because another month has technically passed, Jennifer is not looking super great, so she is losing her hair. She's looking sickly again, so we know she will need to eat at this dance. So Needy is there. She's on high alert. She's wearing this gorgeous and far too large pink dress. And Chip is on his way, so even though she begged him not to go, he decides to go regardless, and he cuts through the park as he always does, and this is when he is confronted by Jennifer in her similarly great dress, little Beetlejuicy, and she plants this suggestion in him that Needy has been porking Colin on a semi-regular basis. Total varsity moves.
Yeah. I want to point out, by the way, the script notes for Needy's dress said it looks like afterbirth.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So that's what they were trying to accomplish with the look of this dress.
It's like she's pooping fabric. Sorry.
I mean, it
just
is
iconic
big.
Michael Kors line.
But yeah, this scene between Jennifer and Chip, she's so transparent. And it's, again, like, I feel like Chip should be able to see through this, but he's just not because he's upset. But like, as soon as she says like, say I'm better than Needy. And it's like, okay, come on. Like, that's it. That's the dinger.
Yeah. And it's another great element of Megan Fox's performance as Jennifer, right? Like, even in this weakened state, she could go after so many boys, but she knows just how to play Chip, and she knows it'll hurt Needy the most.
Yeah.
You're like, you are a bad friend. So mean.
But even so, just to like highlight Chip some more, like even when we get to the pool, like, she says to him, I feel so empty. And his reply is like, yeah, me too. And it's like, I feel for you there, buddy.
Oh boy. Just people in a bad state. They should be coming together in just a sexy way. And instead it's got to be a murder way.
Well, because she's talking about how she's literally empty, whereas he's like, I'm emotionally empty.
We're talking about two different things, but saying similar words.
That's rough, buddy.
Yeah. So Low Shoulder begins playing their favorite tune, 3 cents. They're going to those victim survivors. And
I kind of realized in between the last time we talked about them and this time, the song is slightly reminiscent of Tonight Tonight by the Smashing Pumpkins. It has that sort of anthemic feel where the verse is very kind of restrained, and then during the chorus, the chords kind of fly and the vocals soar a bit more, and it elicits a similar emotional response in me.
And it pairs very well with images of Needy desperately running through the woods trying to find her boyfriend, right?
Yeah, I love the drama of the slow motion drop of her cup, because it's not a glass. She's at a fucking high school dance. Of course, it's like a plastic cup full of punch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's treated with the same gravitas as something in a thriller where someone would drop a glass. And I kind of love that because it's like winking at you and at the same time saying, yeah, this is silly and it's also important. Pay attention.
Yeah, I would argue this also feels slightly fairy tale-esque, right? Like it's Cinderella getting home before she changes at the stroke of midnight, so she needs to flee from the ball and try to get home as quickly as possible.
Well, but that's where we're flipping the narrative, though, too, because I love this. Chip is the damsel in distress, and Needy is the hero running to save him.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about horror movies subverting tropes a lot, and I feel like Jennifer's Body successfully subverts more tropes than most movies even attempt to do.
But it's so effortless too, right? Like we've not really noted many of them because I think the film doesn't call attention to itself in that way. It's only really after the fact when you start to dive into it that you realize, oh, okay, we were doing so much. But again, I think a lot of critics just pass this off as silly, slight, with this acerbic wit, but it doesn't match what we're actually trying to accomplish. And I think that is masking. Like Diablo Cody and Karen Kusama have done such a good job of making it go down easy that you don't even realize all the heavy lifting the film is actually doing.
Or critics thought that it was bad. they weren't even paying attention to that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, what is this dialogue?
Like they just a couple jokes isn't gonna make it like subversive.
Okay, so we end up at this derelict my balls pool. I fucking love the set dressing of this.
Yeah.
It is it's gorgeous and gross in equal measure.
It looks like something from BioShock.
Okay, see, I was thinking it was Poison Ivy's lair.
Yes.
Oh my god, I love that.
BioShock, I could totally see if it looked a little bit more 1940s.
Yeah, for sure.
So Needy basically finds her way in. She kind of barrel rolls down this vine and discovers, oh, Chip is definitely getting eaten by Jennifer in the pool.
Oh.
We do get that great moment where she, drags him back across the tiles, and it's very hard to watch because you're like, oh, poor Chip. He just does not stand a chance.
And I will say on a first-time viewing, like, you think that she saved him in time. Like, I don't remember thinking he was going to die, but if you watch him closely as he's holding like his neck wound, like that blood is pouring.
He's dead.
Yeah, like ugh.
Yeah, the minute that Jennifer bites you with those razor sharp teeth, you're done.
Well, unless you're Needy.
Yeah, and the dirty water in that pool infecting it, and then her demon puke also getting all over it. Like, even if she got him to the hospital, he's going into sepsis.
I do feel like we haven't really given Seyfried much attention or praise throughout this episode. Like, it's been a lot of Megan Fox because I think she was the one who was more derided. But I love how she manages to not only elevate, not levitate. I like what she manages to accomplish with Needy. Even something like the comedic affectation in, praying to St. Jude for the power to crush this bitch. Like, that could be a line that goes horribly wrong. And yet I find it very funny and also kind of yeah, fuck her up, girl.
I'm glad you brought her up because honestly, like, whenever I was excited to see this movie, because I was going to see this opening weekend no matter what, but it wasn't for Megan Fox. It was because I wanted to see Amanda Seyfried, who had done mostly like family-friendly fare, do an R-rated horror movie. And then, of course, when Chloe came out, I was like, yes. I think she's so good in this. It's just, again, it's the less showy role, even though she's the protagonist of the movie.
Well, and this is what we discover is usually the truth, right? It's, okay, well, you get the bigger role, but you're not as interesting a character.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think that also lends itself to the effortlessness of this. You were saying that the subversion of tropes feels kind of effortless, and so does Needy as a character. It feels like she's just so perfectly embodying her that she's not trying too hard. She's not overdoing anything. She's being this very relatable teenage girl. And I think that's a big part of why this is such a queer staple, because for queer women, especially ones who went through confusing times in high school in terms of identity, Needy is such a fucking relatable character.
Yeah.
And she ends up becoming a total badass at the end of it. So that's exciting to be like, oh, maybe I'll get there too.
Well, and this is the beginning of her transformation. And again, another kind of effortless subversion of a trope is they fridge Chip to further her plot, to push her to actually kill Jennifer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love that she has the balls to go into the scenario with very little plan, no weapon. Like, what was she going to do to Jennifer except maybe reason with her?
I mean, I guess
it was almost rhetorical because I don't think there's an actual answer.
No, I know. I guess the thing where there's still a world where, like, I wish they could just work things out and just become better friends. But I think this is neat. I mean, she says in the scene, like, you've never been a good friend. Like, it's her realizing that their entire friendship has just been this one-sided thing, and that is unfortunate, but it is true.
But I think it's super cathartic, right? Because it comes back to what you were saying earlier, Mae, where I think a lot more people have been Needies than they have been Jennifer. And we all kind of wish that we could have stood up to our Jennifers. Like, I actually find the laxatives line very cruel and mean, but the rest of it feels almost cathartic, where Needy finally gets to say her shit. It's like, I'm through sugarcoating this friendship because you've been a garbage friend to me.
Well, it's also like, I know you, bitch. Like, I know all of your secrets.
I know your secrets.
But even to bring it back to Fox, though, I mean, again, the line of hers that really sells her performance for me is whenever Needy tells her, like, why Chip? Is it just to tip me off, or is it because you're really insecure? And Megan Fox's delivery is like, she has like, I am not insecure, Needy. God, that's a joke. How could I ever be in? Like, it's so good.
Because you don't buy it from Jennifer at all. You're like, oh, she just got you real good, didn't she? Yeah. So this is when we get the great, oh, I thought you only killed boys. Well, I go both ways. We don't get to sit with that for too long because Chip does try to come to the rescue. He impales Jennifer. We get this great moment where she just kind of pulls it out of herself. We didn't talk about the levitating, but that moment is also great. Oh, yeah. I gotta say, visually, it looks fantastic.
Oh, that's my favorite visual effect in the entire film. It gives me goosebumps every time.
It's a really good climax. Like, the way all of this is staged and, like, produced is fantastic.
Well, I think it benefits also from being slightly drawn out, so we kind of get two climaxes for the price of one. So, we get, hey, do you have a tampon? Because it seems like you might be plugging. And then, of course, with that witty retort, Jennifer escapes.
Plugging is, by the way, another Carrie reference.
Yes.
Right. Of course it is. Okay, so we've got to say goodbye to Chip because he dies relatively unceremoniously. Like, as you said, Trace, that bite is bad from the get-go, and Needy kind of tries, but also the phone doesn't work, and he is gone.
He does at least get to say, like, I should have believed you.
It's always nice, always appreciated.
One more final deleted scene that I would have also liked. So basically, after Chip dies, rather than just cutting straight back to the whole, cutting back up to the beginning and she, kill Jennifer, we do get Amanda Seyfried just, covering all the shit, slow walking back into the dance. And it's very Carrie-y. But she basically walks into the middle of the dance floor while Low Shoulder is still performing. And as they finish their song, she's giving all of them death stares, and they all look at her, and Adam Brody looks at her, and they basically rush finishing their song and go okay, thanks y'all, bye, and leave because they remember her. And she collapses on the dance floor in between the whole student body, and then we cut to her going to kill Jennifer.
Yeah, once again, that would have been wonderful to keep in the film.
Sorry, I forgot. This is when we cut to Chris Pratt finding Chip's body, and then the mom finding out about Chip's death, and then we go to... But yeah, I agree. I would have really liked this, at least to give her more of a something with Low Shoulder.
I'm gonna gently disagree because I don't think that I think it's actually more powerful when she deals with Jennifer and then decides, okay, now I've actually got to kind of honor your memory and our friendship and go deal with those motherfuckers. Like, this feels like it's just teasing us that that's where it's going to go. But I think we need to actually keep the focus on just her relationship with Jennifer.
I get that. I guess
that's fair.
It's like I like how like the credits montage goes.
It's very funny.
Which was, by the way, not in the script. That was an addition because after test screenings, they kept hearing that like people wanted to know what, like, they wanted to see Low Shoulder get their comeuppance instead of just know that's what was going to happen.
I mean, sidebar, for me, that would have been the whole sequel. I would have loved to have seen Needy just going after those motherfuckers like one by one slasher style.
Yeah, 100%. But also we don't get to see their reaction to that, you know. And so I at least in this deleted scene, it's like, oh, like shit, that girl. Like I at least like to get that moment of recognition from the band.
That is fair. Yes. Yeah. Because we never get to see them understanding that something is coming their way.
And you know that's how I like it, Joe, right? Like
I
want them to know that they know why they're getting killed.
May, that's Trace's kink finally showing itself.
Yeah, like give me the villain monologue. I want it.
Okay, so Needy decides she needs to suit up for battle. This is when we kind of come back full circle to that moment where we open the film of Needy looking in at a very sickly looking Jennifer. Because, of course, even though she took a bite out of Chip, she wasn't able to feed off of him. So she still looks like a bit of butt. And then we've got this fight scene. So Jennifer does bite her. She comments on the butchness of her Home Depot X-Acto murder weapon. And I'm pretty sure we talked about this, but yeah, this is a sex fight to the death scene where we are floating up. We are circling around each other. Like, this is basically the culmination of, okay, we need to pork it out. Varsity Move style, and then I'm gonna stab you in the tit.
Yeah, I love the way this is shot. I think we also have some of the score going really hard here because there's not a ton of like, it's more like soundtrack in this movie than it is like a lot of score. But when we do have score, and I'm thinking specifically back to the moment when Needy is running towards the pool house, like it really just like kicks in.
It's that piece of music that's in 7/8 time, and it's got just this like driving drum beat that's kind of syncopated with the guitars and the bass, and it's this like rising progression. It honestly, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, it does sound like something I would write for I used to do a lot of theater scores, and it sounds like something I would have written for a climactic scene in one of the plays I worked on.
Good. I would have listened to that.
Okay. Well, I'll send you my theater scores because you'll probably like some of that.
No, because on the soundtrack, like that track is the only piece of score on the soundtrack, but I've listened to it a lot.
Okay.
It's called Running for Chip, by the way.
Of course it is. Yes. Whereas in the version of my film, it would be Running for Chips, because I would let Chip die and I would just, go for the Frito-Lays. What? Who said that?
All
terrible.
dress.
That was a dad joke.
It was terrible, right? Okay. Any other thoughts about this final battle sequence? I think it's appropriate. I think it's nicely physical. I agree with you, Trace. I think it's shot really well. I think it's quite satisfying.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, punctuated with my tit is just like cherry on top.
Yeah. No,
it's very sad. You want to feel triumphant for Needy because she's getting revenge on Jennifer for killing her boyfriend. And at the same time, she also just murdered her best friend who she's in love with.
Well, and exactly what Jennifer told her in that deleted scene. Like, then you have no one left.
Right.
Well, the other interesting thing, and I can't remember if I ever noticed it or remarked upon it in previous iterations of this same conversation, but it seems like Jennifer is actually resigned to this, right? Like, we see her drop in slow motion, but it looks like she's effectively giving up and letting Needy stab her.
Well, and I kind of agree with you because it feels like, here's the thing. The friendship that Jennifer has with Needy was much more important to Jennifer than it was to Needy.
Yeah.
And I think when she killed Chip, she realized this is the end of this friendship, and that's why she's resigned here, because she is crushed. She has nothing else to live for.
She fucked it up.
Yeah, I agree with that. And again, this just makes me very sad.
Kind of like what you said, Trace, where we wish that they could have actually found a way to work it out. In some ways, I appreciate that there is a certain finality to...
You said it right.
I appreciate...
You said it right, actually. I'm so proud of you.
God. Never been so concerned about saying such an innocuous word. Anyway, I like that this feels very emblematic of what Kusama and Cody were aiming to achieve, right? Mm-hmm. Like they wanted to unpack female friendships, particularly teenage female friendships. And I think sometimes we have to acknowledge that they can also just be toxic and not what you need anymore. And sometimes you need to go your separate ways.
And that's all this is.
But our hearts break for them because I think even though Chip says, oh, well, you don't really have that much in common, like, you know, she just abuses you or whatever, we do see over the course of this film that there was a lot of genuine love and even romance between the two of them. Like, it wasn't a fake friendship. They did actually like each other.
Well, and I also imagine there's a bit of guilt on Needy's part, because not saying it's her fault what happened to Jennifer, but like she, like as soon as Jennifer goes off in that van, her friend is gone. And like, it's, I mean, I'm not saying like, I'm not saying she should have.
It's like a survivor's guilt.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah. It's just rough because the men are shit and the girls are nice. Okay. Of course, Jennifer's mom, who is played by Carrie Genzel, comes in at this exact moment. So it looks like, oops, Needy has killed her best friend. And then this brings us back to the solitary confinement from the beginning of the film. But since we have been bitten by a demon and survived, a little bit of transference. So now we can also levitate, and we're kickers. So we just bust out of this asylum / jail. And then, we find the knife where the waterfall drains out of, and we get picked up by, totally forgot about this, Lance Henriksen?
Yeah. So there's an extended part of this. This is the last deleted scene thing, but basically...
You said that last time.
I know. I forgot. Well, sorry. This is like an extension to the scene, but basically, I get why they cut it out. Because he says to her, well, if I'm going to give you a ride, you got to pay me in one of three ways. Grass, gas, or ass. And she's like, well, I don't have any money, and I don't have any drugs, so...
It's a reference to Easy Rider. Like, it's a direct quote from Easy Rider.
Okay.
So I think it was supposed to be kind of funny, and instead it makes it really fucking
It's just
creepy.
lecherous and gross.
Because she just gets in the car after she doesn't have those two things, so it's like, okay. Or maybe it's like a Teeth scenario where it's like, oh, she's just going to kill him before if he tries to get her. I don't know.
That doesn't seem like it would have played particularly well, and I am glad they cut it.
Yeah, that was definitely Diablo Cody channeling her Tarantino film bro impulses into like, ooh, wouldn't it be funny if I referenced Easy Rider here at the very end of the movie?
Well, speaking of film bro, because the person that actually like she showed the script to a lot to get advice from was none other than Eli Roth.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Didn't expect you to say that name.
I know, right?
Yeah. And of course, we do get this funny visual gag where as the car pulls away and she's talking about how she's following the rock band that's going to play their last show, we do get a road sign that says Low Shoulder.
And we move to the credits to the tune of Violet by Hole, which is my favorite Hole song.
Oh, I guess we didn't mention that Jennifer's Body is named after the Hole song.
Correct.
Right. But also it has that multiplicity of readings, right? Where, you know, the movie is about her body and how we commodify it, but then also how we, you know, weaponize it and so on.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of meaning. But that's it. That's the movie.
Yeah, we just get the credits montage of her going to town on these guys, and I guess she's just living the life as a vigilante for the rest of her life.
I wish we could see more of this violence, because we see it in, like, it almost looks like promotional images and video that the band would post on social media or something about their tour. And then we kind of see like a hint of violence, and then we just see blood and the aftermath. And I really would have loved to have seen Amanda Seyfried just absolutely whooping these dudes' asses.
So the reason we don't get that is because, so as I said, you know, this is like an afterthought, like where it's like, oh, we need to like do it. And it was the cheapest way to do it, basically.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it still works.
It does.
Would have loved more.
Yeah, like you want that catharsis of her like tearing these guys apart and like yeah.
And it's set to the tune of another Low Shoulder song.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's their cover of Blondie's In the Flesh, which I know because the Best of Blondie, the greatest hits, was the second CD I ever owned.
Aw.
There you go. Debbie Harry forever.
But yeah, everyone, that is Jennifer's Body. We have gone on for nearly 3 hours with this thing. So Mae makes perfect sense for a 300th episode, actually. 3 hours.
Yeah.
But Mae, as the guest of honor, final thoughts.
I love this movie. It's a wonderful queer text. There's not really queer subtext. It is right on the surface.
Truly.
It is a phenomenally subversive horror comedy that balances both tones pretty well and has mostly aged very well and has honestly aged into itself better than I'm sure anyone ever thought it would. I think this is quintessential for any horror aficionado, and it's also great viewing for horror newbies because you don't necessarily have to know about all those tropes in order to enjoy it. You can just enjoy it as a cute queer horror comedy. And yeah, Amanda Seyfried and Megan Fox are both fucking powerhouses in it, and I'm glad that this movie ever even got made.
Yeah, no, I love this movie. I've been a fan since day one, and I kind of like it every time. I like it more every time I watch it. It's just, and I'm really glad it's gotten this reappraisal, and it's like kind of it's going to be remembered, I guess, more so than many other films from 2009.
Right. Yeah, that was a rough year for a lot of these films.
Yeah, but Joe, final thoughts.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've had a completely different journey from this film than both of you. I saw it, didn't like it, and I do like it more every time I go back and revisit it, if only because I think it is so much more carefully plotted and executed than I ever gave it credit for. And I'm happy to count myself as a reformed male asshole critic who, thought that this was dismissible. So happy to be proven wrong and happy, that we're still talking about this movie 15 years later.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And kudos to everybody involved.
Absolutely. Well, okay. Before we announce what we're covering next week for episode 301, Mae, thank you so much for joining us again, and let everyone know, where can they find you on social media?
Well, thank you again for having me. This was so much fun. Can't think of a better way to spend a Thursday evening. If you want to find me on the internet, I am at EversonPoe, EversonPoe on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. You can hear my voice on the Lady Killers, the Feminine Rage podcast, and Tender Subject, a cannibalism and body horror podcast, as Trace said at the beginning of the episode. I'm also on a bunch of episodes of Slayerfest 98, and I edit Halloweenies, Talk Scary to Me, Nightlight, and I am always happy to chat horror.
There we go.
As are we. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us on Twitter and Instagram at HorrorQueers. Shoot us an email at horrorqueers@gmail.com. Find us on Letterboxd to keep track of all the films we've covered. If you want to chat with other listeners, please join our Facebook Horror Queers group. And as we said at the top of the episode, please, if you have a moment, or if you don't, go rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, just because.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
How do you rate on Spotify?
You can only rate, I think, on Spotify, but you can leave comments now, but you can't leave a review.
No.
Oh, so it's just like if I leave a comment, it just gets sent to y'all, but no one else can see it?
No. So basically, we have to publish it. So we see the comments, and then but I have never not published a comment, even the bad ones, because
we're trying for transparency.
Yeah. But the comments will be on individual episodes rather than the show itself. But then
now I want to go through all the Lady Killers episodes and be like, has anyone left us comments?
Maybe don't.
I get a notification whenever we get a comment. So I mean. mean, there should be there. Anyway, if you want more content, please support the show by becoming a patron at patreon.com/horrorqueers. And as Joe said at the top, if you subscribe today, you will get 331 and a half hours of Patreon content, including this month's new episodes on Hannibal Season 1, Episode 9, Blink Twice, Beetlejuice, the American remake of Speak No Evil, and our brand new audio commentary on Becken Woods' Haunt for its 5th anniversary.
Ooh.
Yeah, but Joe.
Yes.
We're going outside of our normal waters next week. What are we covering?
A little bit, yeah. So we covered Critters as a you pick, and now we're going to do a Joe pick, because I've been wanting to talk about this film for ages. I truly don't know if it qualifies as queer or if it's, within our sandbox or outside, but every time I raise it up on the internet, all the gays want to talk about it. So that is a hugely long preamble to say we're going to talk about the Nicole Kidman. So there's our gay icon for part of this theme. Going to be talking about her 2004 film Birth.
Yes, which is Jonathan Glazer, who also directed one of your favorite films, Joe, Under the Skin.
This is true. I have loved every Jonathan Glazer film.
I think I've only seen Under the Skin, so I am really. I still haven't seen Zone of Interest. I haven't seen Sexy Beast. I haven't seen Birth until next week, obviously. So I'm excited to finally cross this off because I know the premise of this movie, and it is wild.
It is wild. It's a bit of a slow burn, very moody and atmospheric. Get ready for that Mia Farrow haircut. Oh, got a bunch of people smoking hot mad. But
I remember all that.
Yeah. It's an interesting, weird little movie.
Yeah, which I also think has grown in opinion, like, over the past couple of years. I know it wasn't, like, loved when it came out, but we'll talk about that next week.
We will, indeed. I've got stories.
All right, everyone. Well, until next week, we can, cross out Jennifer's body.
Cross out horror queers.